you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, wrapping it all up, explaining it to you so that when you get to work on Monday, you know what you're talking about. We're testing our sound levels right now. Hopefully we are...
I must have been too far away from the mic, but whatever.
Good with the sound somehow.
Okay. If I'm quiet, let me know.
Okay, this is Military Veteran Talk Radio. If this is the first time you've been on the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. I was in the Air Force during the 90s, and my cousin Kerry was in the Marine Corps during the 90s. We've been doing this to where we would call each other and talk for hours and hours on end, 3, 4, sometimes 5-hour epic conversations about politics, life in general, for about the last 10 to 15 years. And right after Mitt Romney took a dive, threw in the towel, just like the 1919 Chicago White Sox, Black Sox, just taking a dive at the World Series. That's what Mitt Romney did.
We got paid just like they did.
We got paid. We got angry. We got so angry. So we started this, Smith Radio.
I got concerned about the future of America. So.
Right. And so we wanted to do our part to try and help get the information out. And that's what we do, folks. We tell you the real news, the real information. We explain what is fact and what is fiction.
Yeah, and this week is going to be a critical week because there is the release of a government document called the Nunes Memo. And, you know, it takes somebody who has had to navigate through the being in the military, having worked in the government, to be able to read this thing and decipher it for you. It does require a little bit of deciphering unless you want to sit there and meticulously go by line and try to translate it into layman's terms yourself. Right. It helps to have somebody like us to walk through the memo, which I plan on doing in this show, to really break down exactly what all this stuff means. There's people that are misinterpreting it. There are people who are, especially on the Democrat side, who are saying things about it that just aren't true. But I don't really think that they're lying. I think that they truly believe that what they are saying about the memo is true, or that the things that are being claimed that the memo says are false but are actually true. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and that's what we are going to do for you today.
This is a big day in the sense that we've been reporting on this for a long time. Back last year, 2016, right after Donald Trump was elected President of the United States, and we realized that we did have an opportunity to beat back the devil, or the axis of evil that is the Democrat Party. December 11th, we did a show called Russia, Russia, Russia. It was all about this Russia investigation. And ironically, at that point in time, you could read the Steele dossier. You could read this fake dossier back then, and we did, and we exposed it on the show. We talked about how fake it was. I mean, the year and 3 months ago we were talking about this. This has produced absolutely nothing, and now, if you will, our greatest fears have been exposed with the memo that's come out. The deep state is deep. The FBI is at the highest levels is corrupt. We've always known that Obama, Loretta Lynch, we knew they were corrupt. We knew they were awful. Communist, die-in-the-wool communist, without a doubt. It's a fact. And a good friend of mine approached me today. He said, "Man, I've been trying to give you this present for weeks now." And I said, "Really? What is it?" And so
it's an
he
orange
gave this to
bottle.
me.
It's looks like an orange bottle of soda.
But
is it
Carrie's
alcoholic?
Seen it no. It's a soda bottle. Carrie is seeing this for the first time. This is relevant to the show because this is what we're up against, and this is what we're fighting.
Oh, so one side of the bottle is in English, and the other side is in what appears to be Russian. And as soon as you look at it even from a distance, you might even be able to see it from here. Brian is going. Are you going to put up?
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay, so Brian eventually.
Thank you, Mr.
Going to let you see a little bit of a closer picture of this. But it's got the hammer and sickle on it. You could see it from there. You could definitely see it from there. And Brian's going to bring it up here in a second. But you see the hammer and sickle. So first and foremost, I'm like, oh, no. And it's called Leninade.
Yeah, Leninade. There's a store here in...
Oh, you got it on? Is it up right now? Okay, so you're looking at it right now.
There's a store here in Cincinnati. There's a couple of them called the Jungle Gyms. And it's a huge...
Oh, it's known throughout the world.
Okay, huge market.
It's a famous grocery store. Really famous. It's been on the Travel Channel. It's been on all kinds of stuff. They did like a whole hour-long show on it once, I think, on the Travel Channel. But basically, they have products that you normally don't find at your average grocery store. And apparently, Brian sought something out. Did you go there today?
No, this was a gift.
Oh, a gift from there.
From a listener, a rabid listener.
We have a lot of rabid listeners.
So on the back, it says there's a party in every bottle.
Which is a reference to the Communist Party.
Right.
Political party.
Surprisingly satisfying, simple Soviet-style soda.
Oh, I don't like that. Surprisingly satisfying?
Our 5-year plan. This is on the bottle. Our 5-year plan. Drink a bottle a day for 5 years and become a hero of socialist flavor.
What?
Yeah.
So they're just trying to make a big joke out of it, apparently.
Misa, chill down this bottle and chill out. Drink, comrade, drink. It's this or the gulag.
What? Drink this or it's the gulag.
Right.
They're definitely making a big joke out of it.
Well, I don't know. The one problem I've got with this, it says, somewhere it said, a taste worth standing in line for.
Oh, okay. So they're definitely making a big joke out of it.
I don't know.
And
I'm
of course,
very skeptical.
It's got to be alcoholic because it says right on there next to the hammer and sickle, get hammered and sickled. There you go. Get hammered and sickled.
I'm very skeptical of this. It makes a joke about communism. It makes a joke about USSR. It makes it funny and it makes it fun. And where does this come from? Well, there is no like a company name just per se. There's no real.
It does have the proper
there's a
labeling.
website. There's a website and it says learn about soda, realsoda.com, made by Real Soda, in Real Bottles Ltd. Like this is the name of the company, In Real Bottles, and they have a phone number on the bottle, which is kind of strange.
Does it have a U.S. area code or country code?
Yeah, it's in America.
Okay.
310. Don't look on the Google. If you know it, if you know where that's from, 310. And I've got an unfair advantage because I actually had, here's the hint.
It's got to be California.
Yeah, I had a 310 phone number.
Okay. I didn't know where in California, but as soon as you started talking, I was like, oh, if he knows anything, it's got to be California.
Santa Monica, Marina Del Rey, they're right there on the West Coast, as far West liberal as you can get.
But I got to give them credit, though. They kind of make fun of socialism a little bit, or communism, if you will, by saying that you have to stand in line for it and it's worth it. And because that's the big joke. That was the big thing about Soviet Union is towards the end there, it became a real problem where you would have to wake up in the morning and go and stand in line and hope, and it wasn't always guaranteed, but it's possible you could have got your little chunk of bread before the end of the day.
Right.
And if not, you had to come back the next day.
Right.
And that was literally what was happening in the Soviet Union. And of course, that led to only several years later it collapsing.
Right.
So anyway,
not much has changed. Communism is what it is. Dictatorship, socialist, still failing left and right. I mean, look at Venezuela.
It's guaranteed to fail every time.
Right. And look at the Democrat Party.
Well, they've gone down that road.
They have embraced communism.
Right. They are the Communist Party at this point. So
full-fledged. So if you want, we can go chronologically. We can back up. Folks,
sure.
If you were with us, hanging out with us Tuesday night, thank you. That was awesome.
Yes, Tuesday was fun.
Had a blast watching Donald Trump give his first State of the Union address, and it was nothing less than epic.
It was more than I was expecting. I thought that he was going to go through a laundry list of the accomplishments, which obviously he has the right to do and should do. He shouldn't hold back on some of the great things that are happening in America since he's taken over. However, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if he just started slamming them or whatever? And then I thought, well, you know what? It's in their house. It'd be a little bit uncouth to do that. And it turns out he did something very similar to what he did at the inauguration, which also shocked me. And that was to give all the congressmen and all the congresswomen in both houses a lecture on what it means to be an American and what it means to be a representative of American citizens.
To serve the people. Your job is to serve the people.
And the problem is, in the past, with other presidents, even Ronald Reagan, is you would not dare, even as president of the United States, insult these people by giving them a lecture on Civics 101. And yet that seems to be what he did both at the inauguration and at the State of the Union. And the funny thing is that we not only love to hear it, not just us at Smith Radio, but I mean, you look at the polling average or the polling data on whether or not you liked it, and it was broken down by party and whatnot. So they obviously loved it. So it was kind of pandering to them in a way, but in another way, we needed to hear that. We need to refresh what being an American is all about and what the founding was all about, how it's all about liberty and the Constitution and all that kind of stuff. So it's really awesome.
Right. And so Trump, the numbers that came out afterwards, the polling numbers, they said 97% of Republicans polled said they agree.
Which is cool.
With Donald Trump. They agree with the State of the Union address. It was great. Juxtaposed Democrats, I believe, was 36% agreed.
I think it was 40 something, 41, 40.
It was not in
It was in the 40s, but
no.
Here's the problem. These are only Democrats polled. 40? Less than half yeah, so you're saying what? It should be higher?
No. I thought that's actually kind of high because most people who are still voting Democrat right now are currently saying when they pick up the phone, oh, yeah, I vote Democrat, straight party line.
Well, not only that, but they're saying that we need to get rid of Donald Trump. He's a traitor.
Impeach.
Impeach him. Do anything possible to get rid of him. And yet 40% of them had a positive reaction to the State of the Union address.
Yeah. Independence, which is all politicians always trying to get an independent here or there. Independence, 75%.
That was 72. Whatever it was in the 70s. I'm sure not just trying to be accurate.
Where's your numbers?
Let's just round it up.
3.
To nearest.
72.
Something.
And a half.
I don't know. The fact that it was over 60% is pretty much an absolute landslide. I think what it shows me, based on what I just told you a second ago about how it's kind of a lecture on Civics 101 to the congressman, is that I think that even people who have been completely brainwashed by the Department of Education really like the idea of the philosophy of the founding of America, freedom, liberty, and limited government, and not being so oppressive and tyrannical as a member of the government. And isn't it fitting that was the start of the week, considering how we ended the week?
Oh, no, it was
so
absolutely.
Fitting.
Absolutely.
So awesome.
I do have a video clip and I got to throw this in there. Folks, if you're not following Mark Dice, you're not living life. I'm just saying.
You're not a part of the movement as far as I'm concerned. There's a list of people, which I keep on promising for the past year that I'm gonna compile for everybody that you should be following if you're really a part. If you want to have your finger on the pulse of the movement. Some people call it the Trump movement. I think it's an extension that started probably before the Tea Party. Then Trump came along and just took these people and ran with it. And we call it the Trump movement, or you could call it the MAGA movement. It's probably better. And Mark Tice, he's definitely I would call him a leader. And he's got 1 million followers on YouTube, which is remarkable considering
huge.
YouTube is desperately trying to censor these people.
Yeah. Take a look at Nancy Pelosi's face when President Trump announced that he's going to be adding 10,000 new ICE agents, immigration and custom enforcement agents, in order to solve the massive illegal alien problem in this country.
Oh, man.
Something wrong
Nancy!
I mean, look at her. If this isn't a walking corpse, I don't know what is. Yes, the Democrats are furious that we're going to make America great again, and listen to them literally moan after President Trump announced a special task force to investigate crimes committed by illegal aliens. He's calling it VOICE, the Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement.
And we must support the victims of crime. I have ordered the Department of Homeland Security to create an office to serve American victims. The office is called VOICE, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement. We are providing a voice to those who have been ignored.
Now, that was from the official White House feed, so you couldn't really hear it all that well, but have a listen to the CNN
Check
feed.
out this feed, the CNN feed.
And we must support the victims of crime. I have ordered the Department of Homeland Security to create an office to serve American victims. The office is called VOICE, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement. We are providing a voice to those who have been...
Don't investigate crimes from illegal aliens, Mr. Trump. Look at this insane article from Raw Story. This is how genocides begin.
Seriously.
The internet is stunned by Trump's plan to set up voice program targeting immigrants. I'm sorry, it's targeting criminals. Joy Reid, a lunatic from MSNBC, calls it a Gotham City-esque agency. This clown says it's sinister. It's sinister now to investigate crimes committed by people who aren't even supposed to be in the country to begin with. This MSNBC contributor calls it racist propaganda and how genocides begin.
Two different people.
It's going to start a genocide.
How funny, huh?
You are now entering a new dimension, not only of sight and sound, but of mindlessness, where liberals believe that investigating crimes committed by illegal aliens is genocide. You are now entering the liberal zone.
But you know what? He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay.
Was that Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Donald.
Take it to the bank. She also said she slipped a lip and called one of the departments, FBI, the CIA, the DNA. And then right after DNA, she said DNI. And nobody said anything about that. And so I'm like, well, it's got to be real, right? Yeah, it's Director of National Intelligence.
Oh, okay.
DNI. Folks, there's so many three-letter acronyms out there that I have no idea. I mean, even being in the military, when we were
call it the alphabet organizations.
Yes, there's a reason that alphabet.
Yeah.
Alphabet swamp soup now.
Yeah, apparently.
But even in the military, there's a whole different language, and the fact that we haven't been around that or been in it, I'm pretty rusty when it comes to government lingo, if you will, or even the military lingo.
I've had to brush up on it this week with the release of the memo.
What memo? Did you get a memo?
It's called memorandum. Memo is short for. It's actually an acronym for material, education. I don't know.
Did you get me a copy of the memo? I didn't get the memo.
I can forward it to you. It's right
That's
here.
okay. I don't need a memo.
Yeah, because you got me. I'll just tell you everything that's in the memo.
Right. So let's wrap it up. The entire speech with Donald Trump, the first State of the Union address speech. I've talked about this so much, folks, so I apologize if there's a lot of great points. I mean, it was phenomenal. They said the speech was A+, through the roof. It looked like he had practiced it very, very well. He had it down pat. It wasn't fake. It was real. This ain't, what does it say? This ain't Disneyland. This is real as it gets.
Okay. All right, I'll take it.
Anyways, so no, I mean, it's
Did
seriously.
you get sick and tired of State of the Union addresses over the years where they're just like, the State of the Union is strong. Yeah! And then they clap for about 40 to 50 minutes. And then they sit down and then you say like one other single line. And then they stand up and clap again. And it's almost like this, it's just not real, like you said. And then this one is more like, no, let's just talk about what the State of the Union really is, where we're at, where everybody else is at, and where we need to go, and why. And so we talked about this on Tuesday. We normally don't have a show on Tuesday, but I thought, you know what? It was pretty exciting. We didn't have a show on Tuesday, so definitely check that out. We literally did we watched it with you guys. So
the entire time.
Sorry if you missed that.
If you want to see the very beginning, the first 30 minutes was us talking and kind of show prepping, just prepping.
Pre-game
show.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, if you scroll down to the end, then you can see our commentary at the very end as well. I did take the day off from work, so it did, that's sacrifice for y'all, but I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was really happy about it. The message, if you will, if you haven't seen it, ironically, I've talked to a lot of people that haven't seen it. There's a lot of
State of the Union?
Yes.
See, that's a problem.
It's a big problem, and when I talked about it with my rabid listener friend,
Your communist friends?
my buddy who gave me the lemonade, the linen aid. He said, no, I didn't watch it. He said he had to work and it was late. It was an hour and a half long, folks. I'm not sure what the standard is, but it feels like a pretty epic speech.
You could play it twice on this show.
And that's all. You could not fit any more than twice on this show.
Yeah, you know what we should have done, which of course CNN. Do you know what CNN did? CNN, all right, when we did our show, we used the C-SPAN live feed.
Correct.
Which after a lot of research, I found out we technically didn't do it exactly right.
Okay.
When you're only supposed to play a live stream of C-SPAN live with prior permission, which is fine.
Oh,
if you are playing a clip from C-SPAN, all you have to do is say that this is from C-SPAN. That's it.
Okay.
Courtesy of C-SPAN or whatever. You don't even have to ask for permission or anything.
We did play a clip, an hour and a half long.
Well, it was live, so we were probably supposed to get prior permission. But here's the problem.
You can play a clip as long as it's not live, without permission.
Without permission, as long as you attribute the clip to C-SPAN. So, little inside baseball, because we were hit hard by YouTube.
Yeah.
Who sent us a letter and said, yeah, we took your video down. We're not going to let anybody see it. We're not going to let anybody play it because CNN hit you with a copyright claim on your video. Now, my first thought was, oh my gosh, they're hitting us on that Mark Dice clip.
That's what I thought too.
Because Mark Dice was hammering, who was it? Was it Cuomo or
yeah, it was Cuomo and Nancy,
Jake Tapper
and Nancy Pelosi.
Whoever it was, I can't remember who all these jokesters are on CNN, but he was totally blasting. It was Pelosi.
It was Pelosi because he was being accidentally being a journalist and pressing her.
And she was not prepared for that. In fact, I guarantee you it was fully explained to her that this was an opportunity to make everything right. And he pressed her in a way that she was thinking that they were not going along with the script, and so she pushed back. So Mark Dice did a video about it, and we played that video. Mark Dice used the video legally as fair use, which if you read the laws in fair use, it's absolutely allowed for Mark Dice to do that. Now, our playing of Mark Dice's video, if he wanted to, he could hit us with a copyright strike because it was his video. Yeah. It was his commentary. We were literally just playing it and, spreading the word about Mark Dice in case you didn't know about him or whatever. And maybe that's why he would never go after us for copyright infringement. But he had grounds to do it, but it wasn't him. It was CNN. So turns out, I found out that somebody else who also played it was Bill Mitchell.
They shut his feed down.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it shutting the feed down?
Well, he said, I saw the tweet, and he said that everything shut down. I'm sorry, folks.
And
we lost audio, we lost video, it shut it down.
And if you read his tweet, he said, why is CNN busting us for copyright infringement when this is a C-SPAN clip we're using? So the same thing happened to Bill Mitchell, and that's when I realized, it wasn't the Mark Dice clip, it was the C-SPAN clip. So I started blasting all over YouTube, CNN, everything on Twitter, basically calling them out for being a shill. I mean, YouTube is a shill. When they start to have you ever busted somebody for copyright infringement?
No.
I tried to once. I saw somebody was using a music video, and this was years and years ago. I don't even bother with it anymore. This is back before I knew that Google and YouTube were a militant arm of the Democrat Party. And so I decided to help out this artist, a music artist, by trying to flag this guy's video for a copyright infringement because it was not covered by fair use. Basically, he was saying, shout out to this to Michael Jackson for something stupid like that for using his video, which is totally copyright infringement.
You can't do that. You cannot play the video and say, "Oh, I put the lyrics to it so you can see the." People do it all the time.
Yeah,
I
and
know
a
they
lot of
do, but
times-
that's not covered.
Okay, so I tried to flag it for copyright infringement, and guess what YouTube did? They said, "Is this your video? Do you own this content?" And guess what? Because I didn't own the content that I was trying to flag, they said, "Sorry, we only take copyright infringement claims from the actual owner of the content." So I had to move on. I had to take a walk. My question is, why is now all of a sudden YouTube is allowing CNN to do a copyright infringement flagging on behalf of C-SPAN?
Same company, same corporation.
No, I looked it
Tied
up.
together somehow.
Not that I
don't
know of.
I have no idea.
Well, even if they were, they could do the copyright infringement flagging on behalf of C-SPAN, not CNN.
Right.
So I was just beside myself. So
And it wasn't.
anyway.
It wasn't one. There were multiple videos that got flagged.
Oh, right. Well,
Multiple videos.
The next day, within 24 hours, a different video that had been posted weeks ago that apparently had some CNN content on it was also shut down by YouTube. So basically, CNN has put together a paid staff to comb through Smith Radio videos. I know you're probably thinking, "Oh, Carrie, whatever. They're not doing." Well, what else? I mean,
I have no idea
all
what
of a
else it would
sudden
be.
we're getting flagged
Yeah.
on old videos by CNN. We're getting notified by YouTube. This is really weird. And by the way, your money that you pay for your cable bill, assuming that you do,
Right.
is paying for the lawyers or the staff to comb through Smith Radio videos
That's
to flag
CNN.
them. Yeah.
Right. Because CNN gets a piece of all that
yeah.
internet money, if
Yep.
you will. However,
Or
they
cable
get
money.
money. However, they get cable. Because I just had the internet. Sorry, folks. But they get a piece of that pie, but it's the smallest piece there is.
But it's what's holding them afloat.
But it is what's holding them afloat.
yeah,
Absolutely.
It's holding them afloat, 100%.
So just in general, if you haven't seen the State of the Union address, it's your civic duty.
Oh, it's still up on the Periscope because Periscope is just Wild West. It's so far.
Wild West on Periscope.
Yeah, but if you
And it's pinned at the top of my Twitter feed right now at Brian P. Smith.
Is it?
Let me see.
Yeah, check it out.
I just got a notification that we got a little bit of an issue there.
Oh, hopefully that didn't go on too long.
Nope.
Yeah, Vesey points out
sorry.
to get rid. How long? What?
I don't know. It might have been a couple of minutes. Sorry
No, I
about
looked
that.
down. It looked
Okay.
well. It's a little frozen. If we're frozen right now, don't worry. Brian fixed it. So anyway, Vesey points out that you got to cut the cable.
Yeah, you got to cut the cable.
Gotta
You really
cut.
should. And then just do all your stuff online. And listen to us every week, folks. You can take us along in your car. iHeartRadio. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio every single show. Even the entire State of the Union address. You can listen to the audio.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but if you follow us on Twitter, I always thumb up YouTube videos that I think you guys should be watching or that I find entertaining.
Right.
You don't need no cable. You just follow Smith Radio on Twitter, and all of a sudden you're going to start seeing YouTube videos that I recommend to you. And all of a sudden you have hours and hours and hours of information that actually you end up getting more informed that way. That's how I get informed. Not just YouTube, but all this kind of stuff. You get more informed that way than you do relying on cable or your local news or national news that you get on mainstream media.
Right.
It's just not happening.
I was in an office somewhere, and the news was on. Fox News was on the TV. Commercial came on. I'm like, oh man, how long is this thing gonna last? It felt like forever.
Yeah, we went to a family get together like that where we had our cable cut for months and months, for me years, and Brian and I went over a family relative had their TV on, and it was raining cats and dogs out, so we couldn't go out and hang out outside, so we were kind of stuck inside at this family gathering, and we were just looking at the TV like, Can you believe how many commercials this is?
I felt more dumb. And let me just give you a heads up, folks. There is a withdrawal period. You will go through withdrawals. It doesn't last very long,
a month and a half, which it sounds kind of long, but you will not miss it.
You said you went through withdrawals for a month and a half?
Well, yeah, because we were desperately trying to make up for the lack of entertainment by going to the library and borrowing movies and whatnot. And I felt like, oh my gosh, it's not going to be very long before I'm out of movies and the whole entire library is going to be done. I'll have seen everything. Well, it turns out you get to a point where you get into this rhythm where you're getting new information the right way by actually going out and trying to. When you go out and look for information yourself from scratch, just with Google and start to search stuff, what you start to find out is you're going to get bad information.
Right.
So you start to become more discerning. And all of a sudden you're like, this is not good information. This is not very well substantiated. And then you move on. And all of a sudden after a while, you start to see it in mainstream media where you're like, wait a minute, I know that's fake.
Yes.
I know that's fake. And prior to cutting the cable, we're just like drooling and like
Joe Kennedy.
Yeah, kind of like Joe Kennedy, which by the way, he's done. I don't want to give the wrong person credit here, but it might have been Jack Posobiec who said you are watching Joe Kennedy end his career in real time.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
If you don't know what we're talking about and you didn't see the State of the Union address, after the State of the Union, which was masterfully laid out, I know Mark Dice earlier talked about the Democrats moaning and groaning.
Right.
Democrats didn't clap. They sat on their hands. There were pictures of one Democrat was getting ready to stand up. He was clapping, sat back down.
No, it was like this. It was like this. It was like... And then he went like that and then went like that.
Yes.
He didn't even get all the way up.
No.
He leaned forward like he was going to put all of his weight on his feet and looked around real quick, realized nobody else was, and just slammed himself back into his seat.
Say that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi looking back and forth at each other, making sure neither one of them were standing at all. And we didn't put boycott NFL, which I should have for the show. I should have hashtag boycott. Nope.
I got news for you.
Don't hashtag boycott?
Twitter put together an algorithm. You are highly, highly, highly censored. No, censored. You're highly censored if you use hashtag boycott NFL or actually boycott for today. And the reason I know that is because on my message groups, my DM groups, they were anything that had a hashtag boycott or hashtag boycott NFL in it was flagged for suspicious tweet.
Oh,
and you had to click.
Man.
You had to click on the link that said "View Anyway."
Wow.
Yes. So we did. If you look,
I didn't do it on that. I didn't do it on our scope.
My tweet, I put boycott. I spelled boycott B0 YC0TT.
Okay.
So I use zeros instead of O's to avoid getting detected by Twitter.
They might catch on to that.
So hashtag boycott is definitely a tag I would highly not recommend. Avoid that at all costs or else you will be shadow banned.
So the Democrats not standing whatsoever, sitting down the entire time. They moaned and groaned. It was like spoiled brats that had to. It was unbelievably disrespectful to America in general. To the president, obviously, which they don't care about. Their pride will come before the fall. Their pride will be their fall. Their hatred for this Trump.
Which Trump are we talking about?
This one.
Well, there are several Trumps.
This hatred for Donald Trump is just, it's so beyond anything normal. It is absolutely insanity at this point in time. And the American people are seeing it. They're seeing it with the Democrat Party, which is in full implode. When a star goes supernova and it goes in, it is absolutely shrieking to then implode, explode in a spectacular fireworks show. I really cannot see the Democrat Party. I mean, people are speculating 2018 Democrats going to take back the House. I find that very difficult to believe.
Not at this late time. We're already in 2018. What I've noticed, and I've been monitoring, observing politics very closely on a daily basis since the 2000 election debacle, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And actually,
You talking about Chad?
the hanging Chads. But actually, I started watching it with the debates of 2000 election cycle, and then I watched it almost on a daily basis since then, all the way up, 2018 now?
Right.
So for 18 years, very, very, very closely watching it, and I can tell you, this is too late, but I can also tell you that the public forgets so quickly.
They do.
So you can't just be like, yeah, we're coasting in for a victory. No, the public forgets so quick. It's unbelievable. When you hear them say, I don't think the party's ever going to recover, let me assure you, I've heard that said by Republicans and Democrats several times each over the years. And they're always wrong because they always come back because people always forget. They forget. There's a sucker born every minute type of thing. I'll never forget when, I don't know if it was 2008 maybe, when I started realizing, and that's when Obama was elected, when I realized that people who were voting, who were able to vote for Obama at 18 years old, were only 10 years old on 9/11.
Right.
And that's when we were just like, wow, this is scary because people are going to forget 9/11. And sure enough, they did. And they forgot a lot of other things too. And people are going to forget. I mean, it's too early now, but you just wait. It's only going to be a couple of years before a majority of voters are going to forget how miserable of a government, I guess, we had under Obama. They're going to forget.
They're going to forget it, and that's why we continue to remind them and other folks, and we bring up good points, and we bring up like a flashback Friday type of thing. We do the research to make sure that the youngins know.
Right.
And when I see stuff like Leninade, I got to bring it to your attention, man. Joking.
I might have bought that, though, just because it's funny.
I would have bought it just
Like
because
a
I wanted to
novel.
show y'all. Yeah.
Right. Why is it orange instead of red? Now, you guys might not be able to see this through. Like, it kind of does look red on the screen right now, but it's orange.
It looks like,
It should be red, though.
yeah, it looks like orange Gatorade almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big K or whatever.
Right. But here's the thing, folks. Communism is alive and kicking. It is not a dead concept. It's not a dead idea. It truly...
It's worse now than during the Cold War.
I would think so. There are so many Democrat politicians that are full-fledged card-carrying members of the Communist Party. This is all they want is they want to destroy what we have, the most unique experiment in all of human history, America. And during the State of the Union address, Donald Trump laid it out and said, this is who we are. We. They made it a point in a lot of different memes to say that Donald Trump used the word we like couple hundred times.
I don't think he said the word I.
I juxtapose Obama's any speech Obama ever gave. It was always I, me.
It was all about
me.
him. Robin points out that education is the key. Need to redo education.
Yeah, we have
yeah.
Betsy. Is it Betsy DeVos?
DeVos, yeah.
Betsy DeVos,
Yeah.
who says that Common Core has to go away and would actually
She may have even
she
said
champions
Common Core's dead.
Right. She
It's
champions
possible.
homeschooling. Donald Trump champions homeschooling. I mean, it's just everything that is the basis, the foundation of the America that as it was founded. That's what Donald Trump believes in. You might not like what he says or how he says it. I don't care. You may even see. I was talking to some people last week. They're like, "Oh, if you just quit tweeting." I said, "Well, what did he tweet that made you mad?" I don't know. They just said he tweets a lot. I'm like, "Are you on Twitter?"
I have a millennial.
No, I don't
friend.
do that garbage. I'm like, what? How do you know?
Check this out, Brian. I have a millennial friend. I haven't talked to this guy in years, but he's a millennial. He's pretty young, and he's an electrician. He works for the electrical union.
Ooh.
And he said, "Oh no, don't get me wrong. They pushed the Democrats in my union, but I voted for Trump. I'm a Trump supporter, so don't get me wrong." He was asking questions about the memo on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And so I answered all his questions, and he said, "Don't get me wrong. I'm not attacking you. I voted for Trump." So we ended up talking about Trump a little bit after that, and he pointed out, I just think he needs to stay off Twitter. So somehow the millennials have been duped into thinking that there's something wrong with either what Trump is saying on Twitter or that he's using it at all in the first place. I don't know who's tricking them into thinking this. I don't know who they're listening to. I don't know what the people that they're listening to are saying, but it doesn't make any sense to me. There's a couple times where he tweets something where I don't know if he purposely misworded it to give the wrong impression. So I would say, hey, be careful on your grammar because it could be interpreted certain ways. That would be my only criticism of Trump's tweets, is that sometimes it could be interpreted maybe differently than what he intended. Now, there's some 4D chess people who say, oh no, he did that on purpose. Because he was trolling or he wanted people to react a certain way even though it wasn't true and whatever. But I'm not talking he's posting blatant lies. I'm just saying that you could say because of the lack of a comma or the very word he used.
Wiretap.
Really 100%
Come
true.
on, man.
Yeah, wiretap's a good example.
Wiretap? What, he got to tap a die set and try to put some holes in some wire? What are we talking wires tap?
My electrician friend would say, I know wires, and I'm telling you now, there were no wires tapped into.
Come on, man. What are we talking about wires?
But that's not what he's talking about.
However,
surveillance.
The wording that he used was so epic because the entire liberal crowd, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, DNC, all the acronyms.
All the alphabets.
All the alphabets. It was triggered. They couldn't stop saying, how dumb is he?
I talked to one of my...
tapping wires. How dumb is this president?
Right.
Tapping wires.
It's interesting that you say that because that pretty much supports what one of my sources that I'm going to say on the air right now said today. He said, as long as he's got people talking about it and as long as he's got his opposition trying to win the argument by playing semantics, we are winning.
Well,
and that's so true. Literally, the wiretap thing, perfect example. They can only win the argument by saying he used the word wires, and we know what wires are. They're physical, copper shielded things that go through walls. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want to see proof that he had physical copper insulated pieces of metal that somebody physically scraped and wired into and tapped into that. I want to see the proof of that. It's like, dude, you're playing semantics. We know what he means when he says my wires were tapped.
Oh, not only that, but most of America, most normal people, it was a visual. The words wiretap that we know it from years gone by. He had to have been talking to baby boomers, Gen X people.
Right.
I mean, just in general, anybody that was born before a cell phone. We know what he's talking about. And the visual was there. Anybody that watched a James Bond movie but from back in the day with Sean Connery, you just know.
Yeah, everybody knows what he means when he says my wires were tapped. Everybody knows what it means. So it's interesting. It's interesting that my buddy today told me that because we're winning the argument as long as the narrative is going that direction.
And so Eric Trump tweeted out an article from dailymail.uk or co.uk. I don't know why they do that. So dailymail.uk, we got to go across the pond to get information. Did you hear about the new approval ratings after the State of the Union address? Approval ratings for Donald Trump. Did anybody hear about that? I didn't know there was an approval rating that came out. They had no idea.
Oh, so we didn't hear about it?
I had no idea.
Wow.
Donald Trump catapults to 49% approval rating.
Somebody said 51. There may have been a different poll, like two different polls. Somebody said 51, which obviously the key is to be at 51 or higher, right?
Right.
You got to get over that 50% hump.
But here's the thing, and if you guys are like, oh, the polls are rigged, the polls are low, I know they are. I know they're rigged. I know they're low. I know they call up Democrats and say, hey, there's a poll about Donald Trump, and I'm going to put you down as Republican, okay? Right. Whatever it takes to make it fake. The polls were rigged back then. It's the same people taking the same polls. So to tell me they're not rigged now, I just can't believe it. But anyhow, to beat the cheat, to have a poll and the poll numbers come up and they either it's hard to get a hold of the number or whatever it is. We'll give it to you straight here, folks. So one last thing about State of Union address I thought that Donald Trump played so masterfully was that multiple times he talked about a situation, or he talked about, whether it be the wall, whether it be DACA, illegal immigrants, North Korea, whatever the situation he was getting ready to talk about, he started to get into it. I don't know if he did this on purpose or he knew the Democrats would play into it, but as he started talking about it, he would say something and they would moan and groan, or and then he would then fade away from that moan and groan and say, and we have here with us
the victim of your policies.
Yes.
The victim of the very thing that I'm trying to fix that you all are groaning about. That was, I think bigger than the fact that they didn't stand, the Black Caucus didn't stand when he talked about the improvement of black unemployment.
Not a single one.
That's obviously really bad. But for them to groan on a situation that he's trying to find a solution to, where there are not only victims, real victims, but victims in attendance at the State of the Union, was probably the most devastating for the liberals.
Two girls that were friends, they're 16-year-old girls that were school friends. They were walking down the street, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. 6 MS-13 gang members apparently killed them, slaughtered them in the streets.
Ugh.
Their parents, all 4 of them, the mom, the dad for the one girl, and the mom, the dad for the other girl, sitting right next to each other. Donald Trump calls them, points them out, and talks about them. And it's one thing for a mom to be bawling and crying. You kind of almost expect that. I'm not trying to be sexist, but you just kind of expect that. Mm-hmm. To me, it's more moving and more telling if you look at the father. And he's crumbled in pieces. And these dads were absolutely
those were real
broken.
Tears. I mean, these are real victims. Imagine if you have a child that it's taken from you because of Democrat policies, which happens all the time in America. And you get pointed out and reminded of it by the president in order to and they want to. Don't say, oh, he's exploiting these people. They want these things to be solved. They want the legacy of their fallen loved one to be that we have a president that's going to actually encourage Congress to make the changes necessary to make sure that other victims don't happen.
Kate Steinle? Kate's law. Kate Steinle law.
It's Kate's law, yeah.
Kate's law. Obviously Trump did something to try and so that her death wasn't in vain, just a waste,
right.
Just throw away a body just because some illegal immigrant jumped the border multiple times, living in a sanctuary city, which is cool, whatever. Nobody's going to enforce the law. And when I lived in L.A., cops were not allowed. It was against policy for them to ask your status. They could not ask you if you were an American citizen or not. They weren't allowed to. I don't even think they're allowed to now, which blows my mind. How is law enforcement not allowed to ask your citizenship? You here? What? You got a driver's license? No. Social security number? No. Are you even allowed to be here? You're not allowed to ask me that. What are we talking about? And that's the insanity that is the liberalism, the Democrat Party. It is completely corrupt and insane. And so when these folks, when they get up and they talk, they are just Nancy Pelosi, just a bumbling fool. Barack Obama, when he spoke, just bumbling fool. There are no new ideas, no new policies, nothing. They had nothing. And then right after Trump, and everybody started chanting USA, USA, which was amazing. Gutierrez made a beeline. He started running.
That was hilarious.
Running from the
all
door.
the things, look, I understand there's certain policies that if people are cheering on that you're really against and you want to make a statement, you want to show the world how upset you are at this grand venue where there's going to be, millions and millions of people watching. Stand up and storm out of there. Make a big spectacle. That's fine. But because they're chanting USA, does this guy, how clueless, how tone deaf do you have to be to try to let the world know how upset you are that the representatives of your country are showing patriotism to that country. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Makes no sense.
And then Trump referred to this building, this is the people's building, and in God we trust.
Oh, yeah, he pointed at it.
A lot of mainstream media were trying to say, that's not America's motto, and God we trust. Well, however you look into...
He pointed up.
Yeah, you look into it. That pretty much is our motto.
Well, even if they tried to make the argument that there was something wrong with him bringing that up, he pointed to the air, and I thought, oh, he's pointing at God. No.
Look at the ceiling.
It was way up high, real close to the ceiling on this fascia thing that sticks down where the columns are holding it up and everything like that. Giant, huge letters, and they aren't even – I don't even think it's carved in. It's like these – black letters on white background on the white wall says, in God we trust. So it's like, okay, well, I haven't heard anybody demand that those get ripped down.
Oh, they're coming down now.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
And he talked about the monuments and the statues and the founding fathers and
Right.
what this country, it was a history lesson. The end.
It was like a civics lesson.
Yes, civics lesson.
Civics and history lesson to the completely lost congressmen. Not all of them, but enough of them that it's worth having to give them that lecture.
Right. And so right after that, we were talking on our scope about it, and I saw that Joe Kennedy was coming up next, the Democrat response. And I said, I don't want to listen to this. This is going to be hogwash, phooey.
I'm the glutton for punishment.
And we got, and I asked Kerry. I even mentioned it to him because, folks, when you got a dilemma, you got two options. You can take one or two. Watch who you ask for advice, because you're going to ask the person for advice that's going to give you the answer you want.
Okay.
And so I looked at it and I'm like, we should play it. And I made a comment, hell no. And I looked and said, Kerry.
I wanted to make fun of him.
And Kerry said, yeah. So I picked the right person because I really knew what we should have done. And we did.
I'm gonna compare us to Milo.
Let me just say, I would have been so upset with myself if we did not.
Because we ended up seeing the Drool Gate. Drool Kennedy.
We had trending at one time, hashtag KY Kennedy.
That's a little bit risque for my taste, but
it was trending on Twitter.
Okay, so I've been doing this for a year, and it was actually like a running joke for a long time that we haven't brought up in a long time, because I used to scour Yahoo News and a couple other really far left liberal sites for material for the show, and Brian was just like, "What are you doing?" And so he hated it, but because it was like, I would say, no, I got this Yahoo article I want to talk about. And, well, it turns out Milo, who has just recently started a new show that's on behind a paywall on his website, and he does these little teaser, like 1 or 2 minute teasers on YouTube. So you can go and follow the YouTube channel in order to see the teasers. Or you could pay, it's like $30 a month or something like that. Yeah, it's a little steep. It's like $1 a day or something
Rush
like that.
Limbaugh's only $9 a month.
I know, but Milo's doing what he's doing, whatever.
It works.
Yeah, so he's doing this show, and so I watched a piece of and he said, well, he asked somebody, I don't know if it was a caller or something, said, where do you get your information? What are your sources? And Milo said, well, I could tell you some of them. I'm a little bit reluctant to say the actual names because they're not always right all the time.
Right.
But I will tell you this, and I kind of had to pat myself on the back on this one. He said, a vast majority of what I'm reading is far left liberal publications. And here's the reason why. This is the reason why this makes total sense. Rush Limbaugh had previously said, most of the stuff I'm reading is far left stuff.
Right.
If you have a really solid, good understanding of the conservative ideology, you don't need it reinforced by reading. You know what they're going to say. If you're reading a good, let's say a really good article on Breitbart, or maybe a right-winger that gets published on Drudge Report or something like that, when you read what they say, you might get some information that you didn't know, like facts. You might find out facts that you didn't know before. but their interpretation of it should be exactly what you expect because you already have a good, solid foundation of your ideology. Now, I'm not telling you guys that you should be only reading liberal publications because I don't know, for you guys listening to me right now, I don't know how solid your foundation of your ideology is. And so I'm assuming the reason you listen to us is because you're probably learning about it, right?
Well, and that's cool. Not only that, but I know a lot of folks listen to us because it's entertaining.
Right,
and we
right.
like to have fun. We like to joke. And my take on it might be a little bit different than Carrie's take on it. And so we go back and forth, and it's good. It's good like that.
We definitely got our own thing that way. But I don't need to go and read a bunch of just right-wing stuff to get the facts. I like to – I get – the main facts, and then my opinion's already formed because I'm solid, rock solid. If you follow me on Twitter, you see all my responses to all these people. Rock solid, right-wing ideology, conservative, constitutional, nationalist, all this kind of stuff. All rock solid. So I read the liberal publications because I instantly see where they go wrong.
Right, and that's funny that you bring that up.
And
like
Milo does that, and Rush does that, and all that kind of stuff.
When we first started this show, I literally would get all my information, news and news outlets, either Breitbart, Rush, some of the other conservative networks, and we get different articles and their take on it. And I realized at one point in time, early on in the show, years ago, that, wow, something's just not clicking here. And then I would see other folks like Mark Dice or PJW, and they, exposing mainstream, exposing CNN. And so I had to do what nobody likes to do.
Which is?
Except Carrie. He's the only one I know who likes doing this. Your father's the opposite. If they start talking, he turns it off.
If they start going left.
Yeah, if they start going, or if they start talking over each other and shut it down.
Well, I don't like the talking over them. Yeah.
But anyway, so I started diving in, and you'll see the clips that we have from CNN clips where we absolutely obliterate CNN, rip it apart. This is where they're lying. This is where they're not telling the truth. MSNBC ripping it apart. I mean, I've gotten to the point to where now I'm blocked on Twitter by Jake Tapper, fake Jake.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
He can't, he's got to be in the echo chamber or he's very uncomfortable.
Joy Reid, I blocked on Twitter because
I actually watched her this morning.
They said that she was awful this morning. They said it was rough. It was really rough.
She is, I watched her for the first time this morning. I should say for the first time in months. It's been months since I've watched her. In fact, anytime I ever report on her, it's because I saw that she tweeted something or that she had been referenced in some sort of an article or whatnot. But today I just said I'm going to watch her show for like an hour, maybe two. I don't know. I saw
How long is it on?
I don't know. It's AM Joy is like a 3-hour show or something.
What?
I don't know. It was on all morning.
Holy stuff.
So I'm watching it and I'm like, this woman is worse than fake news. She's like in this delusional alternate universe where she's got this narrative in her head that is so gone. It's completely detached from reality. And because I knew that already, there was nothing to get upset about.
Right.
I didn't like that knowing that there's people watching this that are getting false news or getting a false idea.
I hate people getting excited and happy and joyous when Joy talks about impeach Donald Trump for treasonous charges, should be thrown in jail. You got the shooter who takes and wants to kill all the Republican senators practicing, who's an avid burning Bernie Sanders supporter and has on his timeline every single talking point of CNN, MSNBC that's making him rabid.
Yeah, the Scalise shooter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Donald Trump talked about Scalise in the State of the Union address. I mean,
gave him a standing ovation. Everybody gave him a standing ovation.
It was everything you ever wanted.
It's a reminder of the killers that are in our just around us everywhere.
The Democrat Party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing that happened this week, something about a memo released. Somebody put this meme up, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty awesome. And they said,
"Are you going to show it to him or no?"
You think I should
go full screen?
You may go full.
Yeah, show it to him, and then you could read it when you show it to him. Whatever. Oh, is that all the bigger you can get it?
Yeah.
Man, you need to learn. In Apple, you can blow the screen up. You can zoom in, but you have the wrong.
I have an Apple.
What?
This is an Apple. What are you talking
You don't
about?
have an Apple keyboard.
I know it's being charged.
Oh, you
It
blew
did,
it, man.
folks. I
Blew it.
got a brand new iMac
Maybe you could plug it in
with the
now.
keyboard and the mouse.
And they're wireless.
And for 4 months, I
battery.
had no idea. For 4 months, there's no batteries you change out.
Yeah, the old ones did. The old ones you put double A's in.
So you got to charge them.
Right.
I had no idea. Anyway, so I'll just put it up anyhow. You guys can see it. It's squint if you want to squint. I don't know what to tell you.
We'll just read it for him when they, yeah.
All right,
All right,
there
read it
you
for
go.
him. George Washington predicted a Trump presidency? No, come on.
We have created a system to where even 2 1/4 centuries later, hence 2 1/4 centuries hence, 250 years later, a common man such as an actor or architect could overthrow a corrupt and venal polity through the peaceful electoral process.
Interesting. It's peaceful so far. There's a lot of problems going on.
A lot of bad actors.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have much of a deep state back then.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, there were positions of permanent employment in the government, I assume.
Right.
That's just kind of the way, whenever you're an elected official, you have people that work for you to get the job done. So those would be some permanent employees. Of course, if you lose your next election, all those people are laid off. But
right.
The deep state today has become the Leviathan that has taken over the Constitution, as you will hear later as we expose the memo.
So you want to start with MSNBC?
Is this about the memo, or because
Yes.
I'm thinking before we get into is this after it been released? Because I'm ready to go for the memo.
Okay. You do what you want.
Is that a reaction to it?
Yeah, Donny Deutsch. Deutsch.
So the memo as released was 6 pages because the first 2 pages included a letter from the executive branch, in particular the White House. It was a presidential counsel to the president, Donald McGahn, and he wrote this to Chairman Nunes, pointing out the justification for releasing classified documents. So that's what the letter was about. I mean, I read it on a Periscope. I don't. If I read it again, it might get. If you want to read it, go ahead and read it.
Yeah, don't read it. Well, you read it. We're not going to read it on the show.
Yeah. So that's.
I am going to put the pieces together so that you guys understand exactly what this memo has done. This is a mind-blowing memo. This is bigger than expected. Dan Bongino was talking about it, said, heads are going to roll, heads are going to roll. I just don't even know how big this is. Rush Limbaugh, this is the biggest thing ever. Dan Bongino said the same thing. This is the most damning release of information of treasonous acts in our country since the founding of our country. I don't think there's anything more damning than this memo. It's so bad, Tucker Carlson did his entire 1-hour show. He said, we've never done this before. I've never done an entire show on one thing. But this is so big.
Yeah. I mean, my scope on it was about 44 or 45 minutes long. I read it and then I gave you my thoughts on it. It was interesting because when I did that scope, I had not even read it yet. I literally was like, I'm going live, and just hit go and said, all right, I'm going to read it. But importantly, this letter in the beginning, this is very key. If you ever hear a Democrat try to say that the criticism of this memo is that it should not have been released, that Donald Trump or whoever else involved in the release of it or the declassification of it were being negligent or dangerous to America's security, national security, all this kind of stuff. This letter puts that to rest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And here's the funny thing. Even though it's a letter from the president's aide or what do they call him? Counsel to the president, I guess attorney, to Devin Nunes, it is written with the knowledge that the general public's going to be reading this. So it kind of it's kind of like, hey guys, I'm saying this to Devin Nunes, but this is for all you guys to read. So that's why it's kind of an interesting letter, and it makes the case for unclassifying this stuff.
And for Nancy Pelosi to say, "How dare you release classified information?" I'm sorry, Nancy. It's been it ain't classified no more. It's been declassified.
And he has the right to do it. And all of this is pointed out in the letter. So I highly recommend that you always refer to that letter. That's the first 2 pages of the 6 pages released. Whenever somebody tries to make the argument that he should not have released it, it damages the intel community, it's dangerous, and blah, blah, blah. So that's that.
So Pelosi said that it exposes the FBI's tactics on getting information.
No.
I'm like, no, it does. It shows us.
Oh, right. Yeah,
it shows us how awful
the tactics.
The tactics
are obviously awful. But it doesn't. These tactics need to be changed.
You would think.
It's called breaking the law of the land, the Fourth Amendment. So anyway.
Okay, here's the big thing of the entire memo. The memo has pieced all these characters together. The big takeaway is that Carter Page was volunteer for Donald Trump. Carter Page was a naval grad with no criminal record whatsoever. Carter Page was the one that the Obama administration sought to spy on, if you will, and wherever he was, Donald Trump and the likes would be there as well, so that they could gather.
So spying on Donald Trump's campaign via proxy.
Right.
By going through Carter Page. And interestingly, Carter Page, and this is a recent criticism, that, they've been investigating this guy since 2013. All right, here's how you defeat that argument. You can't just perpetually spy on an American citizen forever. In fact, the memo points out that a FISA warrant is only good for 90 days. And if you want it to be renewed after that 90 days, which you can, there has to be new probable cause. You can't just keep on renewing it with the same probable cause over and over and over again. And the memo also points out that the probable cause used to get the request for FISA surveillance approved was highly suspect. And they pointed out a laundry list of reasons why it probably should not have been approved. So he was surveilled apparently in 2013. Somebody said 2014. Whatever. Doesn't matter to me. They're trying to make the argument that he should be wiretapped at all times. That's against the Constitution. You don't just say, oh, we should be looking at this guy, and then he gets surveilled forever. That's not how it works.
No.
That's not how America works. You need to go pick up a Constitution and read it again.
That's how the USSR works.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's not here.
So anybody that makes that argument is literally arguing for a police state.
Yes.
Absolutely. So when nothing was found, which, by the way, he's not in jail. He wasn't charged or convicted of anything from 2013.
He's never committed a crime. There are no crimes on him. He's a naval graduate, and 3 times Comey, Rosenstein, and McCabe 3 times signed off on that he should be investigated and that he is working for an agent of Putin. 3 times they signed off and said he was an agent of Putin.
Yates was involved in that too. There's a whole list of people that signed off on the application for FISA.
Oh, this is a little bit different. This isn't FISA. This is just the 3, Comey, Rosenstein, and McCabe. The 3 of them said that this guy was an agent of Putin 3 different times and identified by the Obama administration in 2016. Isn't that kind of coincidental? In 2016, Obama says, yeah, this guy is an agent of Putin. How convenient is that from... Sorry, I got distracted. CNN, they pop-ups.
You got
it. The dossier, an agent of Putin. The dossier made spying on Page possible because McCabe under oath, behind closed doors, said so to Congress December 2017. So McCabe, who's now relieved of duty as of Monday.
Not coincidentally, by the way.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And then the memo released on Tuesday.
Right.
McCabe said people was escorted out the door, never to come back to his office again.
He was not allowed to go erase anything from his hard drives.
No, and was heard saying, "I'm going to torch this place if you don't give me my pension."
Oh, I thought if you don't my red line stapler. Give me a stapler. I'm gonna burn this place down. Office Space. He said, "I'm gonna burn this place down because I didn't get my stapler." I'm a stapler. That was McCabe.
That was McCabe.
And guess what? I better have the fire extinguishers on standby.
If he and again, folks, torching the FBI means to expose all the dirty actors and the dirty deeds done dirt cheap. To take a line from AC/DC, folks.
We're going to get busted for that. Man.
So he is claiming if he doesn't get his pension, his retirement package, that he's going to turn coat on all these deep state actors. And I hope that they hold his pension on purpose and dangle it over his head and say, I'll tell you what, you can have your pension if you give us what we want.
Well, what can he give them?
I don't know. Maybe a signed document from Obama saying, you guys need to kill Trump.
Testify against Obama.
Yeah. Testify against Hillary Clinton.
Here's another thing I'm sick and tired of. I'm sick and tired of, in politics, that when somebody is clearly in violation of the law, that as long as we can their punishment will be loss of power, and that's it. It's never jail time. When Hillary lost the election, she is now immune from any prosecution of any kind.
I don't get that. You're still in America. You never left.
Obama, he's no longer president. He did his 8 years of criminal activity.
Yeah.
And now he's gone, so we will never go after Obama because he doesn't have power. I am sick and tired of that. It will continue to happen. In politics, it becomes a game of just survive until you retire. Once you retire, you're immune. You're immune. They'll never come after you. You know why? Because there'll be new bad actors that everybody's going to be going after. Not you, because you're no longer in power. You're not a threat to them. You're not, you're done. You made it to the finish line. It's over. No, we need to stop that. I think that examples need to be made out of these people. I think it started with, with Nixon. The thing about Nixon is he got the pardon from Ford.
Right.
Now, my dad, who, by the way, was a hardcore Democrat.
Right. He was alive then, wasn't he?
My dad?
Yeah, during Nixon. Oh, he was probably
a voter.
Oh, he was voting at that time?
He was in the Union.
Oh, wow.
He was a Union voter, and he adhered to their ideology. So he was very far left. And he even said, I'm really angry that Ford pardoned him. And I said, why? Because you wanted to see him in jail? Or what would you want? Why are you upset about that? Because I think that if he had gone to trial, that they would have found out that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, or maybe he could have even been acquitted.
Yeah.
So he was angry that Ford did that because, and also he just wanted to know the truth.
Right.
And by him being pardoned, he ends up getting away with it per se. But you know what? Ever since then, it's like as long as we can take power, it's almost like the Nixon thing set the precedent that, well, you know what? Maybe maybe justice wasn't done, or maybe it was. Maybe justice was done because he lost power, because he had to resign. We won. Well, how did we win? We won because Nixon's gone, and that's what we wanted, and that was his punishment. So from that day forward, the victory is when they're out of power. And so all the criminal activity, and it was criminal activity, by Obama, starting with the IRS scandal and finishing with the FBI scandal.
Russia.
And all, well, the FBI scandal, you can accuse whatever of anybody of anything if but we know that the FBI scandal was criminal. We know that the IRS scandal was criminal. There's a whole bunch of other ones in there, but those are the two I think you should see time for. And then whatever involvement Hillary has in it, send her to jail. And also, she's got a lot of other issues like her foundation and just there's so many things.
You mean her cankles? What are you talking about, her foundation? Oh, Oh, the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton crime family, where they funnel the money from foreign governments.
I think that an investigation into that will land a couple of Clintons in jail, maybe 2 of them, possibly 2, maybe 3.
That blows my. Yeah,
you put Chelsea in there? I don't know. What's her involved? What did you know, and when did you know it?
I don't know. Depends on what the word is.
Oh, you're saying that Bill gets out of it. Bill will be the only one. His daughter, his wife, everybody around him, they all go to prison, and Bill's like,
well, I'll be here. I'll be here for you when you get out. Maybe.
Where's my cigar?
Where's that next paid speech?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I just go to Russia and just get paid.
Right. So we're talking about McCabe. We're talking about the Memo gate, if you will. McCabe, who was McCabe and why is McCabe implicated in this? McCabe is a huge player in this entire thing. Obviously, Strzok and Page, what's the other Page's name? There's 2 Pages in this.
Lisa Page and Carter Page. They are not related.
Right.
At all.
Carter Page spied on, was the key guy that Obama administration used to spy on Trump. Lisa Page, FBI agent with Strzok, Peter Strzok, who was colluding during.
How do you spell Strzok? There's like a Z in there or something. I don't know.
God, it's in the paperwork.
I know. I just want. He's the one that I'm like. Is that pronounced stroke? You say it's pronounced Strzok.
Everybody's calling it Strzok. It's
okay,
STR.
It's probably Strzok.
STRZOK.
I was like Strzoka.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, Lisa and Strzok involved in the Hillary Clinton email scandal and the Russia scandal, the Russia collusion with Trump. Both of them involved with those 2 ongoing investigations, and both of them, well, at least Peter was a full-fledged flaming Hillary supporter.
Yeah, he admit that in his text messages with his mistress.
Yeah, Lisa apparently was a little bit on the side. I don't know if she was Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton.
Well, they talked, 40,000 plus tweets together, or not tweets, but texts, that they were kind of fueling the fire of each other with anti-Trump rhetoric.
But they said on average 1 text every 4 minutes for like 5 months.
Yeah, they were in love. And let me tell you something. If they both had to be anti-Trump because the relationship ain't gonna work.
No, you have nothing in common. So, but McCabe, we're talking about McCabe, who is his wife. What is his connection with Hillary Clinton? Well, he was involved in the email scandal, and his wife. He's involved in the email scandal. Okay, Hillary Clinton's email scandal. He's part of that in the sense that he's investigating it. He's part of the investigation crew on that. He did not. Now, remind you, he did recuse himself. It said, I got to walk away from this. 1 week before the election. 1 week before the election, McCabe recused himself when all the information came out that his wife ran for Senate in the state of Virginia in 2015. Her name is Jill, unsuccessful, did not, couldn't even have possibly won because this was her first attempt, first try. Nobody knew about her. Nobody knew her political history. She didn't have any political aspirations before this. All of a sudden, during her run, Virginia's state Senate, a super PAC, Political Action Committee, affiliated with the then Virginia governor, Terry McAuliffe.
Total communist.
Terry McAuliffe is a huge commie and a big-time Hillary and Bill Clinton supporter. Clinton Foundation type Ike. I mean, he's definitely in deep. Well, his super PAC moved $500,000 to Lisa McCabe campaign.
I did not know that.
$500,000 went to her campaign. Breitbart wrote about this. Breitbart said FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, whose wife Jill had hundreds of thousands of dollars thrown behind her in the state Senate campaign. The PAC gave her $500,000, and who else gave her the? It was the DNC gave her another $200,000. So she received $700,000. And you're like, well, okay, but she's running for the Senate. What's that big deal? Well, first off, it's the first time round. She's running first time round. and she lost epic proportions, and she lost.
Okay.
Then again, like I said, her husband recused himself from the Hillary Clinton email a week before the election, which pretty much it's over with anyways. I mean, the whole, like you were saying before, once you lose, you're out anyhow.
Right.
Well, after reviewing the financial reports for the entire 2011 campaign, Mitchell, who she ran against, raised $385,000 in donations, while Jill not only never ran for office but has little history in party activism. She received $700,000. So the guy she was running against received $380,000 in donations.
And some new
He's
rookie.
political, right? He's a political guy.
Wow.
And this rookie got $700,000 from two donors, both of them connected to Hillary Clinton. McCabe, her husband, was on the board reviewing Hillary Clinton's email.
And nothing came of that.
No, well, he resigned on Monday.
So where'd that $700,000 come from? What kind of back scratching are we doing? So let me sum up what you just said. By the way, for those of you listening right now, this is the first I'm seeing of this. So this is Brian's report here. I'm just going to sum up what my reaction is here. It sounds to me like what you're saying is that Andrew McCabe had his wife, who knew nothing about politics, never had any experience in politics, just had her run officially on an official capacity for this seat, Virginia State Senate.
As a Democrat.
And possibly, this is where you got to connect some dots here, possibly was bribed by Hillary Clinton to not prosecute or not really kind of botch the entire investigation on the Hillary email scandal in order to save Hillary. She bribed them and laundered it by donating it to this wife who was just running simply to receive the money.
And you're like, well, Brian, Kerry.
I'm just being cynical.
She had to pay for her campaign. I mean, she doesn't keep that money, does she, Kerry?
Well, I guess she could have used it to win the seat.
On the contrary, mon frere.
Uh-oh.
When you run for any political office, and look at it at the very end of the presidential run, they showed all the money spent by all 17 Republicans.
Like Jeb Bush was in heavy debt.
Shoot.
Heavy debt.
And they showed the ones that what monies was left over after the run. And why is that important? Because you gets to keep it all.
Okay.
If you don't spend it, you get to keep what you didn't spend, all of it.
Okay.
So if she didn't spend any money, and like I don't think like Ben Carson didn't spend a lot of money. Huckabee didn't spend a crazy amount of money, and a couple of those were early outers that they walked away. But they walked away with a decent chunk of money at the end of the day.
Because they didn't spend it all. They were able to keep it. Okay.
You're allowed to keep it.
All right.
So if she received $700,000, and she spent $100,000.
She gets to keep $600,000.
Now you and I think about this. If we wanted to run,
put it all on black.
Yes,
go to Vegas.
Go to Vegas, all on black. If we wanted to take Kerry and run him for the state senate for Ohio, and I had $100,000, you could make very good use of that to make it look like the movie with.
You talking about Eddie Murphy?
That was a good one. He didn't spend no money either.
How about
in that
used
one.
cars?
No,
he ran too.
Oh,
anyway.
Richard Pryor.
Oh, the what's it called? The Richard Pryor movie, Brewster's Millions.
Brewster's Millions.
Okay. Brewster's Millions.
And he decided to run as a politician because he had to spend all the money. He's like, this would be a good way to blow money.
Not really, because you start to get donations.
And he was getting about ready to win it, which would give him a paycheck.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, but in this case, I'm speculating. I don't know how much she spent in her campaign. It wouldn't be that hard to find out. I just ran out of time investigating this situation. But that's the juxt of it. McCabe on the back end, struck on the back end, involved in the email
So it
scandal.
sounds like he may have been bribed. Did McCabe recuse himself after the fact?
Yes.
So
he recused himself all the way up until he stayed on all
Yeah.
the way up until the very end, 1 week before the election.
Where his wife just pretty much lost in a landslide.
Oh, no. The election of Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So
his
basically,
wife
he
had
was
been long gone lost.
He was doing cover,
Yeah.
and he was doing it because of the money that somebody, we'll call her
I'm speculating.
Hillary, speculating that his wife's miraculous $700,000 for her campaign that was a joke could have been from the Clinton Foundation or something.
Right.
Or maybe a friend of Hillary's that owes her something, or, hey, you owe me. How do I repay you, Hillary? Well, I need some help. I need to buy off this judge. His name's McCabe. But you can't pay him directly because that would be too obvious. We're going to launder this. His wife's going to run for office, and you're going to go ahead and donate $700,000 to her campaign, and she's going to drop out because the whole thing is just a front. And she's going to keep the money, and that will be what's going to keep me out of prison or trouble until I win the presidency, which she didn't win.
No. If she'd have won, then it might have been bonus on the back end.
Oh,
more taxpayer money.
Why do you think
being
McCabe
dumped.
was doing this? She needed to win for him too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the cash cow. You can't let the cash cow die.
No. And she was – this is why everybody is protecting Hillary Clinton, because she was able to lie, cheat, and steal and pull more money down than any other single politician. They knew she was the money man, if you will, or the money woman behind Bill Clinton's racketeering and all the money. On a side note, we saw a movie this week called American Made. Oh man, the Clintons having a drug running, Escobar coming through with cocaine into Arkansas. Oh, it's a good movie. It's got Tom Cruise in it. Really good movie. Anyways.
I never even knew about it, and I'm so glad I saw it because that was a great little history lesson. Obviously, there's a lot of dramatization. There might have been a couple details that were added for effect.
Sure,
but we know that a lot of those historical facts are true, so it's kind of interesting. One thing I learned about that movie was it seems like different various entities, departments in government were involved in different missions that were at odds with each other.
Right.
So, for instance, in order to provide money or weapons to the Contras, he needed to avoid this other federal agency from getting caught flying.
And he meeting the pilot that they brought on because he was so good and he was able to be bribed. The pilot, they brought him into the CIA.
Yeah, and had he been caught, which I think he eventually was, had he been caught by this one government agency, the CIA would deny his existence. So it was imperative. He couldn't just get caught by one government agency and say, oh, relax, guys, relax. I'm with the CIA. No, the CIA would be like, we don't know this guy.
Right.
So he had to avoid being arrested by these other.
So he got busted in Arkansas, and one of the woman, her position, I'm not sure what her position was, but she was after him and said, finally, I got you. And he's like, nah, man.
You're letting me go.
Call the governor.
No, the governor called on the spot.
It said, yeah, you go ahead. You got to let him go.
I wonder what.
That was Bill Clinton, by the way, the governor.
Yeah, it was Bill Clinton, but I'm wondering what he owed to somebody that he did that. Like, somebody needed to call him up and say, this is so-and-so from the CIA. We got a guy down there. We need him to be let go free. Maybe he was building political capital with it. That's what he ended up running it.
Spoiler alert. If you ever do anything with the Clintons,
you ain't going to jail for nothing.
No, not you going to jail. You might wind up dead.
Well, that's the deal you make with the
devil. Yes,
you get everything. You get the gold, the silver. You get freedom. You can go to Lolita Island.
How much money did he have?
What do you mean?
This pilot had so much money.
Oh, he was building forts out of bricks of cash.
Yes, and he was digging in the backyard and dumping duffel bags in these holes.
Yeah.
He was digging one night and he ran to a duffel bag that he had already buried.
He couldn't find any more land to bury duffel bags of cash in. So yeah.
That's the Clinton.
Anyway,
That's
you
the
have to
Clintons.
see that movie. That's pretty funny.
So Peter Strzok, well, we just showed you McCabe. Peter Strzok also working on the Hillary Clinton email scandal, supposed to be not swayed one way or the other, supposed to be neutral. And apparently we know by the text messages that he absolutely was not neutral. Definitely a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. Peter Strzok. Who is Peter Strzok? Peter Strzok, in his mid-40s, works for the FBI and was the only... Now this folks, this is coming from an informant, an inside guy of the show, likes the show. Peter Strzok, the only person to interview Hillary Clinton, no recordings and no records. You remember that, right? Oh, yeah, we interviewed her. Oh, well, where's the recordings? The video, audio? Did you take notes?
Classified. It's classified.
No, they said they didn't do none of that. We didn't take notes. We didn't record it. We didn't videotape. Nothing.
As if it never even happened.
Right, so Peter Strzok was the one who interviewed Hillary Clinton. Now, this gets a little, I don't know, a little muddy, but you bear with me. There are only about 100 families in America with the name Strzok, Strzok.
Okay.
100 families. Out of 320 million people, that's a very small. A little bit different than Smith, even though it's spelled S-M-Y-T-H. It's still a whole lot of them out there. So Peter Strzok's father, Peter Sr., he was an Army Corps engineer, career expert in sanctions and nuclear activity in Iran. The younger brother of Peter Sr., which would be so his uncle, Strzok's uncle, Peter Sr.'s brother, Mark, who works for Mayomet, M-A-M-M-O-E-T.
Okay.
World leaders in big cranes with specialties in moving nuclear reactors. The son of Mark is Devin, who's a Coast Guard grad and lives in D.C. The wife of Mark and mom of Devin, Marina, is the daughter of General James Cartwright. You're like, General James Cartwright? That sounds familiar. Very familiar. Devin Strzok is actually Devin Cartwright Strzok. His grandfather, General Cartwright, was pardoned by Obama on his last day of office. Cartwright was accused of leaking info on something called Stuxnet, S-T-U-X-N-E-T. It is the Israeli cyber attacks on Iran. So you've got Strzok, whose family is tied into the government, uncle, cousins, I mean, a lot of government dealings, if you will, and not ironically, but unfortunately, one of his uncles had to be pardoned because he was doing dirty deeds, and he was pardoned by Obama. So this is, I mean, it's so
incestuous.
Yeah, I'm trying to point out the incestuousness of this entire Democrat Party. So that's Peter Strzok, and that was the whole thing, is that it was him trying to paint the narrative, saying we're going too hard on Hillary Clinton. We've got to lighten up on this email scandal. It's not right. We need to reword it to Jame Comey. We need to reword it because what was it? The offense, just the words negligent actually could get her in jail. So we gotta change the word negligent to unfortunate. I forgot what the words were. Yeah, I forgot what the word was. And then something else people have been asking me all week. Well, what about the judge? What about the judge? What about one? You go on Wikipedia. One of the judges, right on Wikipedia. The judge, or one of the judges that gave it a green light, granted the FISA warrant in 2016 based on the fake dossier. And we don't, you know, folks, you've been listening to the show for a long time. You know the dossier is fake.
Oh, yeah. That is one of the foundations of this entire Memogate thing, is you have to know right off the bat that the dossier is 100% fake. We
FBI agents knew it was fake.
all journalists knew it was fake.
No, nobody would pick it up except for BuzzFeed.
Journalists were the first. I'm talking all of them. If you were in any kind of a mainstream publication of any kind whatsoever that had any kind of serious readership, you were shopped the dossier by Christopher Steele, which is why he got fired by the FBI. And he
got fired for leaking
to Mother Jones, which is all in the memo. So a lot of people don't remember this, but I can remind you in a tweet that I have. And that is that all mainstream media outlets were shopped the dossier before it went public. BuzzFeed was the one that finally, after rejecting it, said, well, I guess there's nothing else we can do to get rid of Trump. I guess we got to start scraping the bottom of the barrel. Let's go ahead and print the salacious, unfounded dossier.
So you say this is going to get rid of Trump and Hillary will win?
We'll give it a shot.
Oh, yeah, sure, if you think so. Okay.
Well, I think they all knew it wouldn't, but they were swinging for the fences.
They had
nothing else.
And you got to understand, folks, all of this going on, investigating Trump, I honestly believe in my soul that they believed that they were going to find something on Trump.
Yeah, some of them knew that this guy's squeaky clean, but we've got to get rid of him. We got to manufacture the things necessary to get rid of him, and that's kind of the genesis of the dossier. They paid for this thing. Christopher Steele was obviously a complete liar. He either made it up himself or found this story, probably on 4chan, and decided to use it as the basis for the dossier. And then, when journalists read it and say, no, this is fake. And, we all know it's fake. Fake news was saying it's fake. We're not going to use this because it's going to tarnish our reputation. By the way, BuzzFeed took a huge hit on that, and CNN took an even bigger hit because they referenced the dossier in the BuzzFeed article. And CNN took a huge hit for that, just for referencing the BuzzFeed article that was about the dossier. And BuzzFeed almost went belly up because of it. And here we are months and months later, and everybody talks about the dossier as if this is a serious piece of evidence. Well, that's because Comey, this is also mentioned in the memo, Comey had a meeting with President-elect Trump shortly after, actually it was in early January before the inauguration. Why did he have that meeting with him? To substantiate the dossier. If he has a meeting, if the FBI director, the head honcho, has an official meeting with the president-elect,
what's it about?
He's added some weight and legitimacy to the dossier. So that's the only reason he had the meeting, was to add weight to the dossier.
Right.
Literally.
James Comey's ties to Hillary Clinton's go deep. His brother actually worked as a CPA for the Clinton Foundation, and then ironically decided to start a construction company. Yeah, for the government, where he would renovate buildings and things like that. And all his contracts were given to him through as soon as Obama took office.
Interesting.
Just something so wrong with all of this, folks. So wrong. So absolutely wrong. And don't give me this. Don't let the liberals give you the, Bush put Comey in there. The Bushes are in bed with the Clintons. The Bushes are in bed with the Clintons. They have been. George Bush came out and Jeb Bush came out and said we need to have Hillary Clinton as president, not Trump. Come on, man. You cut your nose off, spite your face unless you're getting paid on the back end, which who knows? Jeb Bush was getting money from George Soros. Now what are we talking about, right? Yeah, anyways, so the judge, Rudolph Contreras, was judge of the U.S. District Court for D.C. and assumed that office position on March 23rd, 2012. Then in May 19th, 2016, he assumed office judge of the U.S. Foreign Intel Services Court, he's appointed in 2016, appointed by
Obama?
Yes!
Oh, really?
Barack Hussein, good time, rock and roll, Obama. And so it's just, I don't know what else to say other than the irony of this is that Obama was able to appoint this FISA court judge to go ahead and he was the one that green lit. He said, good to go. Go ahead with the FISA memo. And you're like, well, okay, what about the FISA memo? Really? Well, Loretta Lynch, there we go, another familiar name. Loretta Lynch, her father and Barack Hussein Obama's mentor, who I think is actually his father, Frank Marshall Davis, grew up together in Chicago.
Really?
And so Obama knew Loretta Lynch from Chicago days, back in the day when he was running community disorganizations. All of them communist.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the background of Obama is the Communist Party USA.
So Loretta Lynch, she signed off on every FISA request. She signed off, the AG signed off on every single one of them for Obama. Okay, March 7th, 2016, only one out of 10,000 FISA requests have been denied in 6 years. To be more accurate, this is from Gateway Pundit, by the way, Jim Hoff, which
10,000. So almost every single FISA application has been denied,
with only 2 known applications denied out of 10,700 from 2009 to 2015. So pretty much
the entire Obama. Yeah.
Out of 10,700 requests, 2 were denied. That's a percentage of 0.02.
That's pretty much never. It's pretty much never.
I mean, it would be like, I have $10,000, you have $2. I mean, you see that?
It's like rolling a 10,000-sided dice and trying to hit an exact number.
It's impossible.
Right.
Okay, so the problem we have now...
I didn't know that. I thought you request for a FISA surveillance and they look at it real carefully. Do you know what this means, Brian?
Well, no, hold on. I don't want you to get... Because I think it means is that the FISA request warrants are put together very well, meticulously done. The agents know the steps that they have to take, what they have.
Why?
What do you mean why?
They never get denied. Why even take the care in making sure that it's done well? Think about it.
I went the other way with it.
No, I honestly,
because I was giving them credit. I was giving them credit like they got good.
If they never get denied, they don't even need to do a very good job. This is why the dossier that every single mainstream media outlet, except for BuzzFeed, said, and BuzzFeed knew it was fake too.
Right.
They were just like, we got to do something. We're about to go under.
Got to fall on the sword.
We got to fall on something because we're about to go under.
Right.
They were all saying it's fake, and yet you can present this thing that doesn't even look like it was written by a government official to a FISA court, and they're just like, oh, what is this? What? Oh, FISA? Okay.
FISA,
There you go.
I need I got a request.
It's FISA. It's already signed, dude.
Why
are you bothering me with this?
Because there's one more. I got a third one.
Oh, okay.
Just real quick. Good. Okay.
Gosh, why are you bothering me with this? FISA? Hey, listen, next time, Brian, you see what my signature looks like.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and just sign it.
We're cool?
Yeah, I'm not gonna bust you for signing my signature.
Because I'm hassling you with 10,700 FISA requests.
I don't have time for this.
Could you imagine that's a judge's day, all day long?
I'm taking the family to Lake Cumberland for the month.
Yeah.
And I don't need this paperwork. Brian, take care of it.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I got this friend of mine who make a stamp out of your signature. It'll look identical to you. I'll just use that.
Stamp?
Yeah. I'll just use that while you're gone.
I mean, why don't you use the stamp I already have? You don't need to make another.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
You need the key to my office?
Sweet. I already got one.
So you see what I'm saying? If they never get rejected and you're the guy who puts together the paperwork to get it done, after a while, you're going to start testing your boundaries.
Why wouldn't you?
Right. In fact, that one time it got rejected was probably like, hey, I got a request. It's on this loose leaf, and I did it in pencil. There's a little couple crossed out.
No,
Is this good enough?
Deny it. Put it in ink. Resend it.
Ink. Oh, but I don't have time.
I'll give it to. You gotta do it in ink, man. I'll get in trouble.
Is this an official rejection? Damn.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Damn it. All right, I'll be back in like 30 minutes.
Okay, I'll approve it then. I promise.
All right.
So out of 10,000, one was rejected, and apparently out of 10,700, only 2 are known to have been rejected. Okay, with that being
Because
said,
it showed up on toilet paper, literally.
with that being said, the first 2 requests from the Obama administration, the first 2, after all this, were denied.
Interesting.
Back to back.
The first 2.
First 2 were denied, back to back.
Okay. That's kind of weird. So what, did they go back to the drawing board and say, we need to never let this happen again?
I'm just saying, how awful was the request? I mean, you're here sitting here joking it was in pencil.
Okay, I'm gonna get really cynical here. No. It was. They were at Denny's. They were at Denny's, and they asked for a kids menu, and they used the crayons on the napkin, and they showed up and said, "Here's my FISA application."
Yeah, I requested one.
Probably. But here's what I'm thinking. He gets his first 2 denied. They go back to the drawing board and say, "Okay, the normal channels aren't working. We need to start putting our heel on their throat." And they probably went through some corrupt individuals, paid off a couple people. Somebody went and called up the judge and said, "Hey,
Well, you got judged.
it's a nice place you got here. It'd be a shame if something were to happen. Hey, you got some nice kids. Your kids, they look nice. Be a shame if something happened to them." I mean, and then all of a sudden, 10,000 in a row. 10,700 FISA applications in a row after the first 2 were rejected. I think it's corruption.
Not only that, but I don't have it in my stack of stuff. It's killing me. I read an article from a very reliable source that talked about information is coming out that Mueller, McCabe, one of these bad actors actually threatened with his position, threatened, if this XYZ isn't done, I will do this.
Like a subpoena. I think I remember reading about that. Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're definitely abusing. The abuse of power is so bad and so rampant that, first of all, to get to the top, you must abuse power, period.
Right.
It's kind of like, if you're in a racing league and they may have rules, but nobody's checking it. And if you do break a rule, nobody's even holding you accountable. Next thing you know, you're going to be souping up your engine. You're going to be putting turbochargers. You're going to be putting gas tanks on it that are way bigger than what the rules allow. And next thing you know, the only people who are winning are the ones that are cheating the worst, right?
Yeah.
So what happens over time in a corrupt government? The only people in power are the ones that broke every law, and not only broke it, but broke it worse than everybody else.
I would say it's like gang members and mafia. Why do you think they respect that leader of that mafia gang?
Because they were the worst.
He was the one that would kill anybody, anytime, any day, at any moment. He would kill women and children.
Right. Have you seen the documentary on the rise of Saddam Hussein? They said that he rose to power because he just started murdering more people than anybody.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument about Hitler, too.
Well, he killed people, so. He was the one that, once elected, killed the entire opposition.
Probably Stalin, all those people. So when you have a bad situation where the rise to power requires you to break rules, break laws, be really evil or whatnot, over time, the only people left at the top are the worst actors. And I think that's what you're seeing here.
Right. Funny that you mentioned that. This is a little excerpt. I didn't know where it was going to fit in, but this kind of fits in pretty well. So the Mueller investigation is still ongoing, looking for Russian collusion in Trump. However, he's looking in the wrong place. He should be looking at the Clintons. I digress. Judicial Watch with Peter Fitton. I think it's Fitton, Fitton. He's the head of Judicial Watch. He tirelessly going after the government for all these requests to a FOIA request, Freedom of Information request, one after another, filing lawsuits one after another for information that we the people need to know, we the people need to see,
right?
Like this memo. And he is hot on the heels of the Mueller investigation. I'm like, what? So I started reading it. Apparently, the budget for the special counsel is off the hook.
Okay.
And the government is not releasing any information on what is spent and how much is spent, the budget for it that's spent. And he's claiming that the budget for the Mueller investigation is so far beyond comprehension that it needs to be brought to the people.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty damn, especially when we know that Mueller hired Hillary Clinton lawyers. People that
was a big problem, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got paid. How is it that Hillary Clinton lost, Barack Obama's out, yet they still are draining money out of the American people? They're just like leeches.
I was done with Mueller when I heard on one of the talk shows. I'm just literally just remembering this in the top of my head. I want to say possibly the Sean Hannity show. He had a guest on that was that had intimate knowledge of Mueller because he was working near him or alongside of him or was some sort of a colleague in the early days of his career, and pointed out that this guy has very questionable tactics, where he would do sting operations without any cause whatsoever. He would send somebody in.
You feeling bored? Let's do a sting operation.
Like literally out of boredom. Seriously, like, and he told a story of how Mueller himself came into his office early on when he was lower level, whatever. Came into his office, started chit-chatting with him, and then asked him if he would like to be involved in a what would amount to breaking the law in some sort of a corruption situation. And the guy was like, no.
Why would I do that?
I don't mean to be rude, but I need to ask you to leave now. And he stood up. This is Mueller. Stood up. Right before he turned around to walk out, he's like, good. I'm wired right now. I'm just testing you. Just testing you. Good. I'm glad you answered that way.
You passed.
Good to go.
You passed.
Yeah. That's Mueller for you.
Oh, wow.
Without any cause. He literally was like, you know what? I think we have an issue with corruption amongst lawyers and judges and all that kind of stuff. So let's just start randomly. It's almost like working for a company that requires a random urinalysis, which that's fine, whatever. When you sign up for it, you agree that if they ask for a urine sample.
In the military.
You either give it to them or you're admitting guilt and you're fired, whatever. And that's fine. But for you to just be like some independent lawyer or whatever and be subject to these sting operations, I don't know. I mean, I'm have this old school mentality where I believe that you should not ever be accused of anything without evidence, or else you should be free to punch them in the face. Seriously. That's like back in the day. Remember the old Westerns? They'd be like, you got any evidence of that accusation? And if you didn't, you're doing you're going to go out high noon and you're doing the duel.
Ooh.
That's back when things were civilized.
We need to bring the duel back. Make it legal.
I don't know about the duel, but you should be allowed to punch somebody in the face if they accuse you of something, a crime. And when you ask them, you got any evidence for that?
And they don't.
They're like, I just know you are. You punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of funny. Tucker Carlson had a guy on his show the other day.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my!
He was a senator.
The guy was saying that Tucker Carlson's on. You're on the take. You're on a Putin shill.
Your Putin's paying you for this.
Yes.
And he's like, do you have any evidence for this?
He's like, you know what? I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm shutting this in.
Oh, I can't believe you don't have that bite, because that was classic.
Of the interview?
Yeah, that was classic. He basically shut down. But here's the thing. Tucker has a lot of people on his show who you're just like, Tucker, why'd you even bring this guy on? You know, you should just be clowning this guy. But here's
Right.
the thing.
Forever.
I thought this guy was a clown just like all the rest of his interviewees. And guess what? He was a senator.
That blows my mind.
It was
I did
either
not
senator
realize.
or some sort of a congressman, but he's from California. And, of course, when that happens, you can't even take it
Those
seriously.
people out there, I'm telling you, folks, I don't mean to make fun of California. But what they're putting in the water out there is something is seriously wrong.
Wow.
Real quick, I didn't have the thing on Dick Durbin, but Dick Durbin, just a fool. He's coming out again, saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Ironically, Dick Durbin also came out and said crazy stuff back during the Obama administration, said that he was in a meeting that...
You could probably look him up. Somebody said it was Representative Swalwell. If you type it into the search, probably pop it right up so everybody could see it.
I don't know why I didn't. I'm looking at my history.
No,
I had to have read
because it's probably like a day or two. It was like more than 24 hours ago.
I ran across it during show prep.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so Dick Durbin lying again. Apparently, back in Obama's day, Dick Durbin said that a Republican senator approached Obama during a private meeting and said, I don't like the cut of your jib, boy, and walked away. Apparently, the White House spokesperson looked into it and said, no, that never happened. Dick Durbin has a history of lying, so don't believe anything Dick.
We know that. We've already exposed
little Dickie
him.
Durbin is saying. 5 things. This is from thefederalist.com. If you're not following me, you probably should. Some great information there. 5 things the FBI never told the FISA court about the Trump dossier. Now we're getting deep. That's him.
Yeah, I just typed in Swalwell Tucker and it came right up.
That's
See,
him.
Brian doesn't like to use that little box that has a little magnifying glass on it. But, Mr. Producer,
I don't know.
does anybody need a job as a producer? It pays 0. Just FYI. Just FYI. But it's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, isn't it though? Oh my goodness. So, 5 things that the Obama they did not tell the FISA court. This is pretty damning.
Well, that's what the memo is. It's a list of 5 things that they omitted from the FISA application.
Right. And so here, number 1, the dossier was funded by Hillary Clinton, the DNC, through a lawyer.
Right, which sounds to me like a conflict of interest if you're going to use that as a probable cause. At the very least, the judge should say, okay, I understand that your evidence is funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. Is this bias? Is there another side to this story? That's what a responsible judge who's trying to protect the Fourth Amendment rights. That's the thing. Your job is to safeguard the American people from the FBI with regards to the Fourth Amendment. And they failed.
Right. Big time fail.
So what's number 2?
Number 2, the FBI terminated Steele as a source for what the FBI defines as the most serious of violations. Steele was terminated as a source to the FBI after he disclosed his relationship.
We have a frozen screen?
No, I'm good here.
Oh, I'm good. Somebody said the screen's frozen. That looks frozen, but I'm not
That
frozen.
does look frozen.
I'm not frozen. Oh, somebody said I'm back. Huh. That's weird. I mean, I'm not frozen on my device, so whatever.
Hit the refresh.
All right, hit the refresh.
So Steele was terminated as a source to the FBI after he disclosed his relationship with the Bureau to the press. He told the press that he's like, hey, I give the FBI information. You want to know who I am? In October 2016, he should have been fired sooner for other unauthorized disclosures to the press, but he lied about them to the FBI, which delayed their discovery of this fact. Yet the FBI never disclosed to the FISA court any issues with Steele's credibility.
Right.
The memo says even after they fired him because he broke their trust, instead, the Bureau used his history of credible reporting in the FISA application to firm up their argument for a warrant.
Oh, this guy, he's our best guy, Brian. Brian, he's our best guy. Mr. Judge, Your Honor,
this guy is rock solid. So you're not going to have a problem signing off this FISA application. There's definitely some seriousness and legitimacy to this dossier.
So we're good. We're good. Dossier,
yeah,
cool.
but I need your signature right there. All right, we're good. We're good to go. All right.
Dude, this is wrong. This is so messed up.
What's number 3?
The dossier was not independently verified. After Steele was fired, an independent unit inside the FBI reviewed his reporting and assessed the document as minimally corroborated.
Oh, wow.
FBI Director Jame Comey later referred to the dossier as salacious and unverified testimony to Congress.
And mind you, 3 of the 4 warrants that were on Carter Page were signed by Jame Comey, the same guy who so he was actually the guy who signed off for a request for a warrant to search and seize, which per the 4th Amendment, we have the right to be free of so long as they don't have good probable cause. He knew that this was salacious and unverified, and he was depending on it, or at least we think so far, he was depending on it to get the warrant, and he was signing off on it. So he was knowingly violating the 4th Amendment, which for those of you that are like, yeah, but Kerry, what law is being broken here? The Constitution, including the Bill of Rights, which is part of the Constitution, is the supreme law of the land, which means if you violate any part of it, you are violating the supreme law of the land. So you are breaking a law, and somebody needs to go to prison for this.
Yeah, this is beyond. I mean, when Dan Bongino said this is most corrupt thing that has ever happened in the history of America, that's a fact.
Yeah,
this is so bad and so wrong, and so many violations that heads should definitely roll. Somebody needs to go to prison. A bunch of people need to go to prison. Number 4, a news story purporting to corroborate the dossier actually came directly from the dossier.
Oh my gosh, the Yahoo News story.
Yes!
So here's what he means by that. I can summarize that real quick. Christopher Steele is said to be behind the dossier. Some people call him the author. Some people say, well, maybe he didn't write the whole thing, but he's responsible for getting the dossier. The Yahoo News article that was about the dossier was sourced by Christopher Steele, the one behind the dossier. However, when they presented this to the FISA court, they made it look like the Yahoo article was an independent source that could be used to corroborate the dossier.
Right.
But in reality, another way to put that, it would be like if I accuse Brian of something. Say Brian did X, Y, or Z. And then run off to the media, tell the media what Brian did, and the media reports it, and then the cops go into a judge to get a warrant and say, well, Kerry's saying that Brian did this, and I know he's telling the truth because the news even did an article on it.
Yeah, he leaked the information to Michael Iskoff, reporter for Yahoo News.
Yeah, so this information, this key critical information, was... It's one thing to say that it was withheld from the FISA court, but I think that this was actually an attempt to deceive them.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
It's
the whole thing is, and see, if you say that, there's no crime. If the election were to have been overthrown in the sense that Hillary would have won, I'm going to tell you right now, this is criminal.
Yeah.
This is so criminal, so wrong.
Another thing, too, a cop buddy of mine, a police officer, a law enforcement guy, told me today that, Kerry, you need to read the whole 4th Amendment. It says that the probable cause must be affirmed via oath. What does that mean? In layman's term, that means that the probable cause, the witness who is acting as the probable cause, must swear that this fact or this information, this whatever, that we are using as probable cause is true and accurate, and
if it turns out it's not, the person who sweared an oath that it is accurate just committed perjury. They need to go to jail.
Wow.
And so when it comes to this probable cause, it's like, who is the person who swore to the accuracy of this? And that's in the Fourth Amendment.
Well,
it's
if you ask,
written right in there.
If you ask the Yahoo employee, Michael Iskoff, who wrote about the information leaked to him, apparently he might have a problem swearing on a stack of Bibles that what he's writing is true.
Whoever wrote the FISA application for a warrant would have had to have filled out an affidavit that swear to the accuracy of it.
Right. No, that's insane. And 5, some of the information provided to the court came from a senior DOJ official's wife. Yeah, folks, there's more wives involved. The wife who was getting paid by Hillary Clinton's campaign opposition research firm, in addition to Steele, because Steele was being paid by Fusion GPS as well. In addition to Steele getting paid, or his wife was an employee. I'm sorry. Fusion GPS employed the wife of a senior DOJ official to assist in gathering opposition research on Trump.
You're talking about Bruce Orr.
Bruce Orr's wife, correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The official, then Associate Deputy Attorney General, Bruce Orr, later provided the FBI with his wife's opposition research, and it was apparently included in the information provided to the FISA court as justification for authorizing surveillance.
Yeah, there's a...
What in the hell?
Hold on a second. I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick. Let's say you were hired to do opposition research, and just for accuracy's sake, let's say you're doing opposition research on somebody you really hate. Let's say it's Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll do opposition research on her all day.
I'll pay you a couple $1 million.
Sweet.
You put together a big team. You scour the earth for anything bad you can find out about Hillary Clinton.
Okay, I just take to the Google, keep all the millions to myself.
When you're done with it, let's say you find hard evidence of actual, real, serious crimes committed.
Oh, yeah, I find all the people that she has suicided.
Suicided and proof of it, and also you found out the truth behind the Clinton Foundation.
Right. All the plane crashes, everything.
And Lolita Island, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the kidnapping of children from Haiti, all of it.
Yes.
And you find proof of all this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you, when you're done with all that and you hand it over to the campaign to use it to win the election, because of the seriousness of the crimes, wouldn't you turn it over to the FBI?
If it was true, if it was false, if it was made up, if it was fake, if it was not true,
then you don't.
I would never risk. I would think that I would go to jail for coming up with false allegations.
Do you think they believe that the dossier was true? Did Christopher Steele convince these people that this was real?
It's unbelievable to me. I'm not a smart man. We read the dossier.
I think hookers peed on that bed.
Yes!
I think this is the kind of thing that
Trump
is into.
It was the same room, the identical room in Russia that Obama just 1 year ago was stayed in with his wife.
And all of those facts, at first we were like, yeah, but is there any evidence of it? No. And then subsequently we find out that there's some facts in that story that are like proven false. And it's just like, before it even hit the light of day, it had already been completely debunked for the most part. And then finally they decided, we ain't got nothing else.
Right.
We better do something. Give me that dossier. And then they went with it. So
okay, so I guess my problem is that the Associate Deputy Attorney General,
right,
Bruce Orr, his wife is getting paid indirectly by Hillary Clinton,
right,
to come up with salacious evidence on Donald Trump to give, not to Hillary Clinton to use.
Well, she may have also given it to Hillary Clinton.
Okay, but Hillary Clinton didn't use it necessarily.
Apparently not.
Right.
Apparently not.
But they gave the information to Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, who put it in the FISA warrant to get the...
Well, you got to have some sort of probable cause.
You got to have new stuff to keep the warrant going. You got to have new stuff.
Look, Brian, I know they never reject FISA applications. Never. But you at least got to have something when you fill out the part of the affidavit that says what's your probable cause. You got to have something.
Okay.
If you want to use the dossier, that's fine, but you can't leave it blank.
Oh, so I got to put something to paper.
Just put dossier, whatever.
Pen to paper.
Just put urine gate, golden shower gate, whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is.
Man. Okay, so 8 years of Obama have been passed. My Donald Trump has won. He beat the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. He beat the Democrat Party. He beat the news media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he beat the cheat. The fix was in.
Yeah, but now we have new victories over the deep state, FBI, Department of Justice. Oh, my goodness.
They're screaming now. Mainstream media right now. They get ready for it, folks. If you haven't heard it already, this is the new narrative now.
Oh, gosh.
They've turned the corner.
Give it to me because I'm ready to beat it up.
Okay. Well, let's get that one. I'm glad I waited on that clip.
I'm telling you, you were putting the cart before the horse. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Horse? What?
The cart before the horse. Okay. Oh, my gosh. We're going to get in trouble already. The FCC is banging on our door.
What's his name? His name's Douche.
Whoa. Hey, what do we got here? We'll take a break. We'll be back after these messages.
I'll get you his name in a minute.
There too. Donnie.
Donny Deutsch.
I know. Go. Let it all out.
Here's what's going on here. I don't want to talk about a memo. We've got a dozen instances of clearly the Russians colluding in this election with top Trump officials. 2 have already been convicted. We have...
Whoa. Hold on. He said, we already got the Russian collusion, and Trump, 2 have been convicted. I'm glad I did pay... Did you hear the recent news? We believe that General Flynn may be vindicated and pull back his agreeing to work with the FBI after all this information come out.
He should.
Absolutely
should. He did plead guilty, but it was a process crime, and we could talk about that in a minute.
Right. So he said, Donnie is saying that 2 have been convicted. Ain't nobody convictions.
I think they're waiting on sentencing, but I think this whole thing's going to be rewound.
A president who clearly is owned by Putin. We have an investigation going. Okay, that's good news. We basically now have a press release that's been put out, that's been twisted and mangled, that now will give this president permission to fire Rosenstein.
Okay, so he just now said...
Hold on a second.
...that Donald Trump is a Putin puppet and the memo, a press release.
He called it a press release?
A presser. If you have a firm or a company and you got a new product coming out, you hire a PR team that puts together a presser.
Well, remember when we went to the Project Veritas DNC leaks?
Yes.
And as soon as we walked in the door, they handed us a press release.
Yeah.
And so we could start tweeting it out or whatever.
So he's calling the memo an official, once classified...
It's a government document.
It was a once classified government document that's been declassified. He's referring to it as... See, you got to listen to these words. He's triggering people. It's nothing more than a press release.
This is pure propaganda, just FYI.
Who will now take over this investigation. Our democracy is under siege. People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator. This is not something to analyze anymore.
Yeah.
This is not so, a good day for Trump.
Yeah.
This is frightening stuff. If you are an American, if you're somebody who's 80 years old and sitting at home and you've watched the greatness of this country, you should be terrified. And if you're a 12-year-old and the future is in front of you, this is terrifying. This is not time to analyze and pundit. We need a revolution at this point.
What?
I'm not doing TV here, and I'm not going, crazy Donnie.
What is he talking about? Who's going to take to the streets on behalf of the deep state?
Seriously. On behalf of Donny Deutsch.
This guy's crazy. Like, literally, he is saying that we need to get people in the street to... He's calling for violence. That was clear.
Yes.
Very, very... He actually reiterated it by using the word revolution. But, calling for violence, but if you stop and think about what he's advocating for, like on behalf of what or who, or it's the deep state, the FBI. He wants people to take to the streets to fight for the FBI. and the Department of Justice. Also, he said something that the memo, this was before you paused it the first time. He said the memo will give the president permission to fire people like Rosenstein.
Yeah.
He is in charge of the Department of Justice. He is in charge of the FBI. He's in charge of all the people that work for these departments. And he is in charge of Rosenstein. He can fire him whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And he should have. And I think that one thing we're going to learn from this, and Donald Trump's going to learn from this too, is that when you're in charge of something and somebody's misbehaving, you fire them. You don't wait till you have the political capital to do it. You fire their asses because they work for you, period.
Absolutely. We got a little bit more from Don.
That's hilarious.
He's just crazy. I like it.
This is what's going on.
You know what is interesting? I mean, I talked to a person, a former top intelligence official for this country under
I don't know if she's telling the truth. I think she's lying.
Making it up.
Democratic and Republican presidents, who is just as mad as you are. I mean, you
I'm frightened.
and this former and he said, you know, where's the DNI? I mean, where did the head of the CIA come down on this? Where did the DNI come down on this?
DNI. She's using DNI again.
Twice. Did I say that? Did I also say the DNI? Now I want to hear where DNI.
Director of National Intelligence?
Yeah.
Where did he come down on this? It doesn't matter, sissy.
Wait.
I'm telling you, Missy, it doesn't matter where they came down.
Brian, we need a ruling from the DNA.
Where did the president's where did any of you stand on the release of classified information to be used to smear the FBI?
But where is
I think this is misbehavior by the FBI.
She said that they're smearing the FBI.
It's like if you rob a store and you get away with it for a while and then the surveillance camera footage comes out and you're like, damn it.
It's smearing me.
They're smearing this guy. Smearing this guy for robbing the store. What is wrong with them?
It reminds me of the Gentle Giant when that footage of him roughing up the Asian.
They should not have smeared him like that.
Republican leadership. You know, John McCain,
they're gone. They are so far gone. Paul Ryan left this investigation in the hands of Devin Nunes, an out-of-the-closet Trump stooge.
I want to know what the people of this country are going to do if Rod Rosenstein is fired. We can't take this sitting down. Trump is winning.
Yeah.
He's winning, kids.
Yes.
This crazy, wacky guy is winning.
Yes.
And a year into this, he is already, not chipped, has cut away at the things that protect us. Half of this country thinks the media totally lies.
Do you hear what he's
At
doing
this
there? He's
point,
fear-mongering.
44% of this country doesn't trust the FBI. And guess what? A year from now, if this doesn't change, maybe this table's in trouble. We keep talking like this. I'm not being dramatic.
No.
This is what's happening,
Yes,
kids.
you're being dramatic.
I mean, and this guy's winning. This wacky, orange,
All right.
poofy-haired guy
Oh my
is
gosh,
winning.
listen to him. This orange, puffy hair guy. Okay, when he's fear-mongering when he says that he's chipping away at the things at the department. He didn't say departments, but the departments that are protecting us. He's basically saying, don't attack Daddy because Daddy pays for the bills to the roof over. It could rain on us. You guys want to be on the streets? Daddy's protecting us, and your brother is attacking Daddy. Oh my God! This guy. Listen, those who demand security over liberty deserve neither.
Right. If you're going to give up your liberty for more security, you'll lose them both in the end.
And by the
you
way,
never deserved either one of them to begin with.
It's a scam. It's a scam because the FBI is obviously not here for spying on Carter Page. Does not make us safer.
No.
Can I say that?
Yeah, and claiming that Carter Page is a Russian operative. Speaking about that, that's what Tucker Carlson was talking with this guy.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, so Tucker Carlson's talking about it. And Tucker
man.
kept saying to this guy, what's his name? Wilkerson? Willie. He looks like a little Willie.
Somebody pointed out on the comments board, if this moron wants to start a civil war, better be careful what you wish for. Yeah, he called it a revolution.
Right. Well, that's the communist propaganda.
Nobody's defending the deep state at this point.
No, and that's what commies always call it. They always call it revolution. But no, this little Willie on Tucker Carlson's show, little Willie is saying that Tucker keeps asking, has Carter Page been identified currently Has he been charged with anything?
Right. Yeah.
What is he? And the little Willie cannot answer that.
Well,
does
real
not
quick
answer.
before you do that, let me run through that real quick. So,
Yeah.
they think that you're guilty of a crime. The cops, let's say, the cops think that you are guilty of something, and finally they find evidence of some sort that links you to being guilty. So they ask for a search warrant. The probable cause is the evidence that they just found. It could be a bloody knife in the street, or in your yard or something in your front, wherever. They found evidence that leads them to believe that you're guilty. They take that evidence to a judge and say, we need to search the hell out of him, but we need a search warrant because we can't. We're protected by Fourth Amendment. The judge says, ooh, bloody knife? Oh, yeah. I'm going to sign off on this. Go ahead.
He's going to look through the evidence and decide, is this for real? Is there smoke here? We got to look for the fire.
So then they go and they raid the house. They do all the things that we consider a violation of the Fourth Amendment, but it's not, because they got a proper warrant. They had the proper probable cause. And guess what? When they're done with that, they then decide whether or not to make an arrest. And if the arrest is made, whether or not to charge him, and if he is charged, to go to court to try to convict him, or if they fail to convict him, he goes off free, and that's it. That's the end of it. We have a right to a speedy trial, people.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, let's listen to Tucker Carlson and this crazy congressman from California.
Well, of course it's California.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Well, I definitely don't like what you're talking about, but more profoundly, I don't understand it. And when you accuse someone of committing a crime for which people are arrested, why don't you game it out for me? Tell me one thing that I have said that you think makes all Americans, including my children, less safe.
You continue to support the idea that we should give suspects in criminal cases the evidence against them before we ask them any questions.
I think we should.
You also believe that there's nothing wrong.
I don't support that. I do think we should give them the benefit of the doubt, as the Constitution requires us to.
Right.
Call me a liberal. When have I said that I think that we should give evidence to? I'm not even sure what that means. By the way, I think people charged in a criminal case have the right to the evidence against them.
You get the right. You get to see your. Yeah.
Wait,
Well, not
are you aware
not
of that?
when they're being questioned, Tucker. Yeah, Tucker, not when they're being questioned, not when they're under suspicion.
I don't
Do you think it's a problem
What
that the White House was
information
sent
have I
evidence in
given
the Russia investigation? Do you think it's a problem that they were sent evidence in the Russia investigation when they are subjects of the investigation? You don't see a conflict there?
What in the no?
Donald Trump and
maybe
Don,
I would.
Don
but
McGahn.
in the case of today's memo, what specifically have I espoused that empowers threats to our country?
You're peddling the narrative that the Trump administration is putting out, which also is the Putin narrative, because they're retweeting this with their Russian bots. If you're on the same side as WikiLeaks and Putin,
I wonder, do you perceive
if you're on the same side as WikiLeaks and Putin, you should take a step back and wonder, whose bidding are you really doing?
I don't even know what to say. I don't want to explode on TV, so I'm just going to end this segment now. Let the record reflect.
I'll see you next week.
Working for a hostile.
The reason he said I'll see you next week is because he is saying that we're going to come out with our own Democrat memo about that's kind of that
it's the rebuttal.
The
it's
rebuttal.
They won't even allow us to release a rebuttal.
So yeah, they're going to come up with a memo, and he said, "Will you have me on next week?" Actually, this guy's the king of just accusing of whatever. And so he accused Tucker of not letting him have a rebuttal and said, would you allow us to come back on with our rebuttal memo? And he said, yes. Yeah, I would love
to see it. I would listen to any. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, I'll listen to anybody who has anything of substance
to add to this.
Yep, yeah. I will look at it and I'll sift through it and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong or if it's good or bad.
Right, but don't come out and start accusing. Look, there's false accusations and then there's unsubstantiated accusations. As I said before, I miss the time when if somebody were to accuse you of something, even if you were guilty, I gave a perfect example on Twitter. When we knew that the Soviet Union had sent and was continuing to send more nuclear missiles, ICBMs, to Cuba, back in 1962, JFK did not come out and say, hey, you're sending missiles to Cuba. Stop that. He would not accuse them of that, not to their face, not behind closed doors, not on the TV, none of it. You know what he did? He ordered the Air Force, I guess, or whatever. It was to send in surveillance. It was actually like fighters that were outfitted with surveillance cameras to fly these super low-level, dangerous missions at pretty much on the ground practically over Cuba and take pictures of these things so close that when it's time to present the evidence that there would be no way to deny it, and he still didn't accuse it of them until he asked them at the UN through what was his name, whoever it was who was representing us at the UN. He asked Russia one more time, "Are you willing to tell us whether or not whether you have? Are you going to state here right now that you have no nuclear missiles, offensive weapons, anything like that in Cuba?" And he said no, and you'll get your answer in due time, and blah blah blah. And then finally, after having hard, undeniable evidence, they said, "Look at this picture.
Well, what do these pictures show?"
Yeah. So the point is that that's the way it works in civilized societies. And I think that the reason it worked so well back then is because you could get punched in the nose if you did an accusation without pretty damn good evidence. Seriously. So, it could have caused some problems if we made the accusation without proof. But guess what? As soon as you show them that picture where the whole world sees that, oh my God, Russia's sending nukes to Cuba.
And I'm looking at it with my own eyes.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, the person who's being accused is like, and then they're just stuck.
My bad.
But you're accusing Tucker of being a
shill
of the Kremlin, Putin, whatever. Just throwing it out there, and he had to cut him off.
This reminds me of something. I've repeated this many times, but your dad had to inform me on something. We were talking, and I told Carrie's dad, I said, I'm just dumbfounded that they use such blatant lies that are just enormous lies. I would think that they would use like little tiny lies to build up more. And he's like, no, it's what Hitler would do. You use the biggest, most outrageous lie you can possibly come up with because people will say, that's so outrageous, nobody would lie about that.
It has to be true.
It's got to be true.
You can't even make this stuff up.
With a straight face, you couldn't lie about that. So
they're starting to use the fact that there's the old saying, you can't even make this stuff up, because truth is usually stranger than fiction. They're actually using that to their advantage, and they're now creating fiction that you can't make up with a straight face.
Right. So Carrie and I this week are actually going on vacation. We're taking a trip to the moon. They have a new lunar landing that they want us to operate.
Because we've been informed that they actually have alien colonies up there.
Right. And so we have been commissioned to venture that way. And I talked with my wife and kids about it. They were cool.
Oh, and
your wife was cool, right?
Well, and since the U.S. doesn't have a space program anymore, we're actually commissioned by Vladimir Putin himself.
Yeah, Vlad.
They're the only ones left with a space program.
Yeah, he has to bankroll it.
Yes. Well, no, they have their whole entire space program. We're actually flying in a Soviet.
We're flying in a Soviet MiG. A Russian MiG. MiG.
Yeah, I forgot Soviet Union. I've been gaslighted so bad by the Democrats that I actually think the Soviet Union still exists.
I almost don't like Russia anymore.
Oh my gosh. They're going to use this against us now.
I'm triggered, Russia. I'm triggered. my Leninade. Hey, folks, if you don't know, if you didn't see the first part of the show, this is Leninade.
You see the hammer and sickle on there?
Leninade. And it says,
we're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Get hammered and sickled. Join the party. A taste worth standing in line for. This is the Democrat Party. They go full board communist propaganda. And you got the media involved with this too. This is just unbelievable. As we're wrapping this up about the Memo gate, the absolute corruption The worst corrupt scheme in all of American history. Just a little flashback, folks. Obama's 8 years of terror. Just a couple little tidbits, little reminders. Fast and Furious, anyone? Fast and Furious?
Somebody needs to go to jail for that.
IRS targeting Tea Party members, anyone?
That's the one that should have led to impeachment. The fact that we can't get a president impeached for the IRS scandal is what led us to the FBI scandal, the Memo, or the FISA abuse.
Because they knew they could do it.
Yeah, it's like, well, hell.
John Boner said, hey, impeachment's off the table.
Right.
Somebody hand me a tissue. I'm going to cry again.
And I feel like the IRS scandal was like, well, let's see if he's serious about impeachment being off the table. And when he was serious and there was no consequences for the IRS scandal, they were like, well, hell, I guess we got the entire government at our disposal.
We can do anything.
Well, we know Hillary's going to be our next president because we're going to use every department to abuse the hell out of our next candidate, our opponent.
What about Obama? What about the 25th Amendment? Let's get rid of that so I can stay in. No, Obama. We don't want to make Middle America too upset. We're going to do this like it looks legit, okay? And we did promise Hillary before she died that she would get to touch the buttons and take the reins.
That she would get to touch the buttons.
And she's able to run some money and she'll finish it out, okay? Just saying, cool, don't worry, we got this. And lo and behold, Donald Trump showed up and said, hell no, we going down this road. I mean, wow.
Well, somebody said they wouldn't impeach him because they threw out the race card. The fact that he actually said impeachment's off the table was because of race.
Right.
But you're right. You're right about it being a fear of the race card. But here's the thing. All the false allegations of racism is really going to end up biting people in the ass. There's black conservatives out there, and they don't want to know or believe that if the next black president is a Democrat, that they're not going to be subject to any kind of punishment for wrongdoing. It's not about the race card when you stop and think about the fact that it's starting to get a lot more mixed up where we have different races, a lot more representation on the Republican side, because they're going to be like, whoa, if he does something impeachable, I want him impeached, even though he's the same color as me or whatever. So I feel like, and a big part of white Republicans being okay with that in the future is happening right now because of all the false accusations. We're getting inoculated by the false accusations. We're no longer putting up with the false accusations.
Right, not at all.
So when they start throwing the race card out there, we'll be like, yeah, shut up. The guy's worse than Nixon. We're definitely impeaching him. See ya.
Attorney General Eric Holder, held in contempt of court, spying on journalists. Hey, y'all remember that one? Obama administration.
I forgot about that. What was the guy's name?
Journalist?
James Rosen or something like
Rosenthal?
that? No, not Rosenthal. I thought it was James Rosen or something like that.
Rosen, R-O-S-E-N.
Oh, let me see. James I thought it was Rosen. Rosen.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't know. Is he up there? I don't know who knows it. No, I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comment section.
So spying on journalists. What about the Fab Five? The Taliban Five released with money in exchange for Bo Bird Dog.
I'm not 100% sure if that's impeachable.
I'm not saying impeachable. I'm just saying it's criminally negligent at the very least.
Well, it's definitely. You talk about.
They went back to fighting. The Fab Five.
Oh, yeah.
Taliban Five went back to fighting, killing them more.
And they weren't just good fighters. They were leaders. So their fighting was exponential. Instead of going out and firing at our troops and killing innocent people, they were commanding large armies, and they were able to do that effectively because Obama let them free.
Right.
So, yeah.
Pallets of money for the Iran deal. We talk about that all the time on this show.
James Rosen I misspelled Rosen. It's R-O-S-I-N, maybe?
Rosen.
Somebody said it in the comments section.
Yeah, Rosen.
Anyway.
VA death list. What about the VA? The VA scandal? The VA scandal? That was huge.
Oh, I forgot about that because things have been improved so much.
What about the attempt by Obama to overthrow an election of a foreign country?
What was it again?
Obama attempting to overthrow the election of another country.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. If other countries are free to do whatever the hell they want, and that's why.
But Obama sent taxpayer dollars to an organization in Israel to overthrow the election going to Bibi Netanyahu.
I was right the first time. It's ROSEN.
Right. Anyways, I think that
trying to get it right here, folks.
I think it's absolutely just wrong beyond belief that our president of the United States would get involved in the fair and free elections of another country.
Okay, so you're saying on principle, if we are going to,
it's a fair and free democracy, if you will, that embraces capitalism.
But don't you have enough respect for the voters to say, well, you know what, if Obama, like, look what he did with Netanyahu. So he goes in there and says, y'all need to vote for the other guy because I don't like Netanyahu. Well, guess what? People are nationalists at heart. And so people of Israel were like, what? We got America telling us what? No.
It's like a union taking my union dues and giving it to the Democrats. Obama took my taxpayer dollars and gave it to the opposition party because I'm down with Bibi Netanyahu. I'm down with it.
Right. So, people in Israel are going to reject the idea of some foreign leader telling them to vote for somebody else.
Right.
It's kind of like, I guess maybe they were hoping that by saying that Putin wanted Trump elected, that patriots would be like, oh yeah, we'll see about that. I'm voting for Hillary because I'm too patriotic to let Putin tell me what to do. It's like kind of like what they were trying to do. But my whole thing is we frozen?
Oh, we're looking good here.
I don't know why my computer keeps freezing up. Anyway, I don't know why it's a problem. I think that if Obama wants to go and tell some other country, or maybe you don't like that it could have been secret, underhanded type thing, kind of like bots, like if the bots thing,
the Russian
was real.
bots.
Yeah, if Russian bots was real, it's kind of like Russia. Maybe 10 Russians get together and make 10,000 bots amongst the 10 of them, and they use those bots to make it look like there's this groundswell of support for Donald Trump. And then it ends up swaying people improperly, I guess, into thinking that, oh, well, everybody loves Trump, when in reality it was kind of manufactured. I guess if there's a lot of sheep out there.
One government should not be interfering with a free and fair election of another country.
Well, yeah, our taxpayer dollars. I don't know. What if the government of America decides, you know what, it's in our interest that Bibi Netanyahu be reelected? It's in our national interest.
No.
You just leave it alone.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
And if they elect a communist and they want to go to war with us, then we finish it.
Finish him. You need to have the finish him
right
across there.
So Jame Comey is upset. Eric Holder is upset. All these people are upset, taking shots on Twitter. Jame Comey, I think we talked about this. Jame Comey, in a desperate cry.
Oh, you mean his cry for help?
Yeah, his cry for help.
I remember that.
he tweets out, "That's it? Dishonest and misleading memo wrecked the House Intel Committee, destroyed trust with intelligence community, damaged relationships with FISA court, and inexcusable exposed classified investigation of an American citizen? For what?
So
DOJ and FBI must keep their jobs." By the way, he also leaked his notes with Trump. Oh, and by the way, Comey was the one that leaked those notes that he had with the Trump meeting. Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, Comey's screaming about this and leaking. Leak? What?
Did you hear what Julian Assange said? He responded to that and said, he's actually contradicting himself here. He's calling it a nothing burger, but then in the same breath, in the same tweet, saying that it wrecked the House Intel Committee, destroyed trust with the intelligence community. So how could – it's either one or the other. Either it was this big thing that destroyed all that, or it was a nothing burger. So
what was it?
Yeah, so Julian Assange tried to point that out. My whole thing is it wasn't a nothing burger. People that are going out there and saying – wow, this was really underwhelming. We were expecting so much more. We think the Republicans oversold it here, and then it underdelivered and all that. It's really not. If you believe that, first of all, stop listening to the liars.
Right.
But if you read it and you think it's a nothing burger, there's one or two things that you've done wrong here. Either A, you don't understand what you're reading. Possibly. I mean, it is a government document. It's got a lot of it's not gobbledygook, but if you don't know what you're reading, it could come off as reading like gobbledygook. Or you don't understand our rights and the actual violation of our rights that this represents, that this is exposing. And I'm telling you, if you know the Constitution, you know the philosophy behind the Enlightenment period that has led to the founding of our country, and you really understand that, and you're able to read this memo and understand what it's really saying, and understanding the Fourth Amendment in particular, you will know that this is absolutely not a nothing burger.
Right, and Mark Simone, if you don't follow Mark Simone, he's a good guy to follow. Mark Simone, talk show host and regular round the guy, shows up on Fox News every once in a while, at Mark, Simone, Mark Simone. He tweeted out and said, New York Times and Associated Press both ran the false story that 17 intel agencies colluded with Russia to interfere in our elections. Both later issued corrections. That's another one.
That's big.
Saying that for these news outlets to somehow say that Russia was colluding, or that 17 different agencies colluding with Russia, and then have to issue a correction statement that it didn't happen?
No, the 17 intel agencies said that the collusion with Russia was real.
And that it wasn't. New York Times and Associated Press reported that. They come back out and say, no, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
It's not true.
Haddix pointed out that the biggest problem is not that the Democrats tell lies and repeat it, but that the Republicans repeat it too. We're seeing a little bit too much of that. Will justice be served? That's a good question. So what needs to happen with this memo thing? That's something that I actually, for a lot of people are forgetting to answer that question. If this really isn't a nothing burger, if it really describes the wrongdoing, laws being broken and whatnot, isn't it that somebody needs to see justice?
Yes, and if nobody does jail time, the Democrat Party will suffer greatly at this. This will definitely be their undoing, the death of their party. And that's the wrong one. I had a thing by, I guess I don't.
Which one?
Oh yeah, I clicked on Dick Morris.
Yeah.
Dick Morris is doing videos now.
You got to learn to trust yourself. It was second in line.
I know,
you just got to trust yourself.
So Dick Morris is doing these videos now. Dick Morris was in tight with Bill Clinton. He was Bill Clinton's right-hand man. And
best friends.
Reported about how horrible and awful and evil Hillary Clinton was, acted, and behaved during the entire time. So he has definitely come out to expose Hillary Clinton, and he says everything everybody else says about Hillary Clinton. And so this is, he's saying, how pathetic are the Democrats? Dick Morris, TV lunch alert. This is his video. This is just about the Democrats.
During Tuesday's State of the Union message, you could see how pathetically bankrupt the Democratic Party is, how they have nothing to say, no message, and no place to stand. Their surly expressions, as Trump was giving an eloquent speech, will really be memorable to the American people. They may oppose Confederate monuments, but they apparently don't oppose Stone Mountain, because they were all stone-faced during even lines that they should have applauded. To see the black congressman sit there without any expression, no applause, hearing that black unemployment is lower than it has ever been, was truly extraordinary. But pity the Democrats. They have nothing to say. They invested their entire rhetorical effort to show that this tax cut was terrible, the tax reform wouldn't work, it would not benefit the poor, would not benefit minorities, the stuff would never trickle down, the world would run screaming from America because of the debt and the deficit, and it would lead our country to ruin. And then, as the good news comes piling in, they are stuck with that position. They can't even say, well, the bill's better because we amended it, because they refused to. They wouldn't participate. All they did was vote no on everything. And now all of a sudden it's working, obviously working, big time working. And they have literally nothing to say. Do you remember the polar bear in the global warming ads that's standing on an ice block, and the ice block is melting under its paws, and she has her cub with her, and there's increasingly nothing but blue water around them with a diminishing block of ice? That's what I see the Democrats as. They staked themselves when there was a lot of ice to say, oh, this won't work, this is horrible, this is awful, Trumponomics. And now that it's working, they have nothing to say. And ultimately, when you look to the election of 2018, don't look at districts, don't look at candidates, don't look at vacancies, don't even look at parties. Look at messages. And the Democrats have no message. And anybody that dares articulate one gets shot down, as surely as anyone who applauded last night would have been ostracized from the party caucuses. It's not a good time to be a Democrat. Thanks for watching. I have a column on this that I've written.
Okay, thanks for your column, but that's all right, man. This is exactly what this is, folks. And I've said it in my scopes many times. I know a lot of other talk show hosts are saying this, whether it be Rush, Sean Hannity, anybody around the horn. We good?
Yeah.
Okay. The Democrats have no message. Listen to the message. Not only listen to the message, but if anybody ever comes to you or says anything to you about this candidate, that candidate, this candidate, tell them ask them what's their message. What is their message? What is their platform? What are they running on? I mean, seriously, the Democrat Party took God out of their platform. The Democrat Party jammed abortion in their platform. Full force, full-fledged.
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day, and I'm not supporting the South or the Dixie flag or anything, but somebody put a meme up and put the Dixie flag and Planned Parenthood symbol, and at the bottom said, who's responsible for 500,000 black babies being murdered last year?
So trying to do the side-by-side, like, yeah.
I mean, for all the screaming and yelling at neo-Nazis, which I don't support, it's ridiculous. For all the screaming and yelling at Nazis and KKK.
By the way, KKK is Democrats.
I don't even see it. Yeah, they definitely are Democrats.
Right.
But I've never met a KKK person. I've never met a neo-Nazi.
When we went to Georgia, there were some locals there that said, oh, yeah, there's some up in this mountain that's nearby Atlanta that they actually do have some sort of organization thing. But we're talking nationwide. I think I'm being very generous saying that maybe in couple thousands. Nationwide. There's 330 million people in America. And couple thousand of them at most might actually be part of an organized KKK whatever. I personally think it's a lot smaller. I think that when you see somebody dressed up in a KKK outfit, that you're looking at a Democrat LARPer, an actual liberal who dressed up and is playing the part of what they believe a KKK is.
All right, here you go. I got the BBC. BBC.com. Number of members, Klan groups, number of members in the Klan groups active in most United States are estimated to have been between 5,000 to 8,000 members.
In the entire country.
That's what it looks like the BBC is saying.
And I don't even believe that. I think that the fake stream media is desperate to inflate those numbers as much as possible. I honestly think it's pretty much non-existent. I mean, what do they accomplish? They don't have a footprint anywhere. They don't raise money for anything. They don't have any political capital. They have nobody in power. I mean, I don't think it's real. I don't know anybody that wants to be a part of that.
Okay, well there you go. This report says The ADL report, KKK declining in stature and significance. Only 3,000 Klan members in small groups with no central leadership. There are approximately 3,000 Klan
I think they're LARPers.
members nationwide.
A LARP is a live action role player. So that's somebody who... You didn't know that?
Oh, yeah.
So when you see... you'll see this on Twitter sometimes. Somebody will say, oh, he's LARPing. That's when you go out, and I don't know where... This kind of comes from Dungeons and Dragons, I think. Seriously.
Okay.
So in Dungeons and Dragons, you're supposed to kind of act out your character. Whatever character you're supposed to be. And sometimes the real serious Dungeons and Dragons people will literally dress up when they go and play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, there was a movie about that. There's a movie about that.
Right. Some of these people get a little bit too serious and they believe that they're the character that they are.
They're method acting.
Yes. And so sometimes they will act out their character in public. Out on the street.
That's hysterical.
And what it's called is live action role playing, where you're actually out playing your character in public. So when you hear somebody accusing somebody else of LARPing on Twitter, and usually it's accompanied by a video of somebody that's in a Nazi outfit with the actual red stripe, the swastika, they're like full uniform, and they're acting like a total nut job. And they're actually acting like what they believe a right-winger would act like.
They're using ideas and thoughts in their own mind to behave what they think.
Right. This is actually a Democrat-voting liberal progressive LARPing as a...
conservative.
As a Nazi. As a Nazi.
Claiming to be right-winger.
And the exact same thing as KKK. They get the hood on... They got the grand wizard thing. They got the purple. They got the scarf and all this, and all that. And of course, they'll have the big cross. They'll be totally decked out. They want you to know that they're Christian and that they can't stand black people and whatever. And these are LARPers. They're live action role playing. I honestly think the entire demonstration in Charlottesville was LARPing. I truly believe.
Probably
now
was.
Somebody died there.
Yeah, which is not cool.
But that's because if you look into the details on that, wow, I honestly got to say that the Antifa and the other Democrats have a lot of blood on their hands on this. I think they take a vast majority of the responsibility for this, but that's a whole nother story for another day. But the LARPing, I believe it.
Who knew?
Those are KKK people.
LARPers running around. And why did we get on that? I'm telling you, folks, this is all the Democrats have left. They got LARPers. they got Planned Parenthood, and they got people making up things about alt-right or whatever name they want to call us.
Love alt-right because there are people. Now, by the way, the guy who, and I can't remember his name, is like Jason Kessler. Is it Jason Kessler?
There's Jason Kessler.
Okay, so Jason Kessler's the guy who organized the Charlottesville KKK rally thing, Nazi rally, and it ended up with somebody dying. Jason Kessler was a Democrat all the way up until Donald Trump got elected.
That's amazing.
He was a total. He was he would have been like an Antifa guy. He literally turned into a Republican in order to LARP as a straw man. He creates the straw man that the left can use to bash to pieces. That's what he is.
Wow. Oh, that almost sounds like something Joy Villa's doing.
Yeah, he's an Obama guy, somebody pointed out. Yeah. Oh, that was Sam. Yeah, Sam pointed out he's an Obama guy. Yep.
Joy Villa, claiming to be a Christian, claiming to be a Trump supporter, claiming to be a conservative black, light-skinned black woman.
Because she was struggling. She wasn't making ends meet as far as the entertainment industry is concerned, and she decided to dupe a bunch of...
And what really happened? Oh, she's ate up with the Scientology. She is not even close to being a Christian.
And I defended her at first because I'm like, whoa, we don't have a religious
I wanted to give
test.
her, I want to give her benefit of the doubt. And I don't know anything about Scientology, but I read into it. Oh my God!
Here's the thing:
Scientology,
y'all
a bunch
bad.
of nut jobs.
It's really bad.
Crazy.
Well, it's a made-up religion. We know L. Ron Hubbard. He was a science fiction
novelist.
So we know that was all made up. My problem is that It wasn't about the religion thing, and I don't think they should have even brought the Scientology up. It was the fact that she was using an apparent support for Trump as a means to further herself. Omarosa appears to have done that. She liked Trump. She supported Trump. She didn't support the fact that he was Republican. She didn't like conservatism at all.
Well, and claimed that she got sick and tired of going to work and seeing nothing but old white men.
Right. So it turns out she's just a leftist.
So you are racist.
She jumped on the coattails of Trump, who she liked as a person. That's another thing that proves that Donald Trump is anything but a racist. His support of and helping of Omarosa to build her career had nothing to do with ideology or anything like that. I mean, he as far as he was concerned, it was a colorblindness. He liked her attitude.
Right.
And it turns out that Omarosa was the dishonest one who acted like she agreed with that ideology in order to ride the coattails of a career in the White House and whatnot, when it turns out she's just a dumb leftist.
Be done with it. Be done with y'all. Anyway. So, folks, we've touched on a lot of things today. Here's the big deal. Here's the big takeaway. We are in a situation where we've got to get the real news out. We are in a situation where we've got to inform young millennials that communism...
They think it's a big joke.
Communism's not the way to go, folks.
If you're not old enough to have lived through the Cold War, you don't know just how bad communism really is. It's totally evil.
Right. And the Democrat Party, their message to the world... After the State of Union address and after seeing the memo, the message to the world from the Democrat Party, we are the resurrected KGB, USSR. We are Lenin reincarnate. We are Stalin reincarnate. All that embodiment of communism where you remove the middle class. There's only everybody's poor.
We're classless society.
Classless,
we have no class.
Everybody's classless and poor.
Oh my gosh!
Except for the elites at the top that control and rule everything, like kings and queens. That is your Democrat Party. Black unemployment, the lowest ever. The engine of the capitalist America just shifting in gears.
Right.
Grabbing for another gear. 2018 is going to be huge. I cannot foresee Republicans losing seats.
I didn't think Moore was going to lose in Alabama. So my point is,
I don't know what's going on.
Don't put it in cruise control. Don't put it in neutral. We're not coasting to a victory. We're going to have to fight hard all the way to the end.
Right, absolutely, to get the real information out. Folks, if this is the first time you've been on the show, thank you so much for being here and spending this time with us. This is Smith Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. My name is Brian Smith, and my handle's right underneath my picture, Brian P. Smith. And follow Carrie on Twitter under Smith, SMYTH Radio, Smith Radio. We come to you live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Share this with your friends and your family. Share this with anybody that you know that cares about America.
And if you want to be on our text group, which is a party every single day and a lot of insider stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. I get some of my show prep from some of the people in this. I mean, you get some insider information.
Be in our text group. Be part of the show prep.
Be part of the show prep. You go to patreon.com/SmithRadio, and you can donate whatever you want per month. But for only $1, just get your foot in the door. You are in on the inside. So definitely go there and check that out. Don't forget the spelling, SMYTHRADIO.
I can't believe this. Is this really happening?
What, freezing again?
Oh, maybe. We got the Russian bots messing with us tonight, folks.
It happens. So, this is delayed. You'll be fine.
So I'm glad that we're not watching anything else tonight. This is just it. Do some post-show prep and be done with it. I cannot say this enough. This is so exciting to see Donald Trump exceeding all expectations.
Absolutely.
We said that if he did a fraction of what he said he's going to do, folks, I did not anticipate the amount of hate and anger barrage. I did not anticipate that. And I did not anticipate his ability to make it happen and
I
get
thought
it
it
done.
would be a little harder for him.
Yep,
I thought it'd be a little slower. He just makes everybody who opposes his agenda end up being a loser. They end up losing, no matter how politically, which is big. I thought he was going to get run circles around by professional politicians with regards to politics. I thought he was going to present real-world business-style solutions, pragmatic solutions, and that he was going to get steamrolled by the politics. Turns out he's probably the most masterful politician that I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely incredible. Another 3 hours. Fast 3 hours you'll spend anywhere, folks. Again, follow us at smithradio.com. Check it out. When you're on the website, you can watch Donald Trump's Twitter feed. So when you're on the website, you can see if he tweets live right there in the middle of the website.
Awesome. That's where you should be all the time, 24/7. And get on our text group, people.
All right. Have a good night now. See you next week. Hey, stay close to us. We've got scopes throughout the week.
That's right.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.